That hurt.
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
It's Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...
Booty! Sick! Booty!
Fucking deal with it. What are we really doing?
Yeah, I can agree with that. A zebra in between a tarantula and an elephant.
Has been nothing more than a sham.
Yeah, we didn't play well, but you know what? At the end of the day, we got the job done.
It's going to be a good time for sure.
Oh, sex with the first cousin would indeed be incest. And
Happy New Year!
Whoa!
Woo! We are back. It is 2024 with a new intro. I always think that part where Pulisic says it's going to be a good time. And then she's like, well, technically, sex with your cousin is incest. Now, those aren't really supposed to be connected, but it does actually kind of run together kind of in a funny way. Well, it looks like you're still celebrating there, Brett.
Woo! It's midnight somewhere, right?
It's a static sort of confetti behind you. It's as if
we broke the matrix, Derek.
Yeah, the matrix is frozen. Is what's going on here?
What I found funny about the obviously you posted the new intro this weekend, and it was people were watching it and people were commenting, and I kept seeing the comment, the pulley sick. You know, I was like, what is that in reference to? Is that just the chant they do? And then all of a sudden, I mean, I've watched the intro like 3 times, and then I just caught it that time. I'm like, oh, I get it.
That's when he scored the winning goal, and I think they were shoving it in the face of, was that the Juventus guy who criticized Pulisic in the pregame show and said he's really not that good? You know, who's that idiot that said Gio should not play for the U.S. men's national team again? I don't know his name, but he was on the Dan Le Batard show, who also, I guess Stu Gotts is on that show. Neither of those guys, including the guy who spoke, are qualified to talk about soccer at all. But the fact is that guy commented on something that really was not, it was soccer related, but he was talking about Reyna's parents. So I don't know if he's an expert in parenting. I doubt he is, because you never convict the child for the crimes of the parent. You never do that. If you did that, I mean, there are horrible parents everywhere. And you can't blame the child for the crime of the parents. And that's what that moron did. So I'm glad that Will Ferrell stuck it to that dude and called him what he is, an idiot.
Kobe had it.
Dave Sampson from the Dan Le Batard. Yeah, Dave Sampson is, I don't know how people like that have jobs, and their job is to talk about sports when they are so intrinsically and so obviously bad human beings who don't understand basic rules.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he should never get to play for the U.S. men's national team again because of his parents. What kind of moron thinks like that? What an idiot. But he's not alone. He's not alone in his idiocy. There were many of these more idiots.
It never happened. That's fake.
Oh,
fake
I know.
News.
We
fake
were told.
News.
Who says that?
Fake.
Who believes that, Derek? Why are you exaggerating? There's nobody out there saying that. Well, they were not only saying it on X, they were saying it on major media outlets. This fucking idiot wasn't alone either. There were others. I'm glad I know his name, so now I can go after him. Samson, was it again?
Nicely.
Samson?
In Minecraft, right? It is Dave Sampson? Where is it at? David Sampson. Samson.
Samson. I'm writing his name down because I like to keep tabs on morons.
Yeah.
And or inauthentic pricks like Jeff Carlisle, who don't correct mistakes and spread the blackmail message across the whole internet, and then politely duck out, re-edit, and never, ever, ever own up to being the actual purveyor of the original blackmail story and never owning up to it. Never owning up to it. And Jeff, I'm sorry, dude. I lost all respect for you right there. And I know we were both writers going back, but dude, I can't deal with that. I'm sorry. All right. So I've already went on a rant. We haven't even gotten off the ground yet. Jack Pineda. Yeah, Jack Pineda got hammered and came home, and my pants fell off as soon as my hand touched the door. Well,
good night, then. Good night.
At least it didn't touch something else. Touch the door, right? As soon as my hand touched my penis. Joey, Happy New Year. My favorite middle-aged white dudes. Well, technically, Joey, I am part Berber, which makes me Northern African. Now, it's only 8%, but you got to take what you can get. And I certainly recognize the parts of me that I've inherited from my Berber ancestry.
Waist down, right?
Certain parts, yes. All right. All right. Haven't seen you guys since last year. I know it's been like a few days. So here we are. I survived a night without my cousins. Yeah, I mean,
out with his cousins. With my cousins. I survived a night out. Well, as long as you didn't have sex with them, Jack, I think you're okay. But then he got hammered. Yeah, the follow-up was that he got hammered, and then his pants fell off as he touched the doorknob.
Because as the intro says, that is incest. You know, we talk a lot about stepsisters here. And I tried to find a clip about stepsisters. I could not find one. So I had to go with the cousins thing. DiCaprio toasting his first cousin. DiCaprio's more into young girls.
Yeah.
But
not necessarily cousins.
Of age. Young women who are 30 years his junior. Hey, I'm not gonna hold it, I'm not going to criticize him for that. If that's his thing, he can do that thing, I guess. The turd in the background says, welcome back to the Straight Red Card. Happy New Year. My New Year's resolution is to keep hyping up Greg and to keep letting my wife cheat on me. I'm getting my first enema tomorrow. What does their enema have to do with your wife cheating on you? And you're the turd. You don't want an enema. You are the enema. Why would you do that? All right. So I did comment, by the way, on that woman. I don't know if this was all over X and, social media, but that woman who was arrested for diddling herself on the public beach.
Yeah.
And then she committed suicide this weekend. And that's tragic.
What a loss.
That is not worth killing yourself over. It shouldn't even be embarrassing. We are on this show all the time talking about how we wax our dolphins. And it's a natural act. It's a human activity. And she should not have been so humiliated by that. But apparently she was.
I guess the big difference at that point is she's doing it on a public beach, and you're placed on a list for doing that.
Oh, so she might have been...
Let's just say she's everywhere she's got to go. When she moves to a new place, she's got to inform all the neighbors that she's on some list. But then you explain it and say, "Oh, it's not what you think. I was just, getting, busting a nut on the beach."
That's right. Children saw her. A family with kids saw her.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if I were going to a beach with my kids, let's say I was still married and I was taking my kids to the beach. And we walked by, and just kind of in the distance there between two hills, we saw some chickie poo waxing her dolphin. I think we would just move along. I don't think we would call
Antonio's
the police.
Antonio's got the right idea.
I would have helped her flicking that bean. I don't know if she wanted help, but I would have tell you this. If I'm with my kids and I'm just ignoring it and keeping on moving, keeping on trucking. I mean, I have caught in public people fucking in their cars outside of a restaurant. What am I going to call the police? These motherfuckers that called the police for her flicking her bean. I guess she was using a dildo. I don't know. Either way, you just turn the cheek and you move along. If that's what she wants to do. Now, if everyone on the beach is doing it, that's another thing. Then you call the police because, hey, that's uncontrollable dildo fucking going on the beach. I can't bring my kids to the beach. right?
All she has to do is go to the courthouse and say, "Hey, I tripped and fell." It happens.
I fell in it. Fell in
over and over again.
The dildo fell in my twat. When they saw it was me just taking it out. I was just removing it, but it wouldn't come out, so I had to kind of yank at it a little bit, and then it finally came out. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's horrible. You're probably right. She got on some sort of pedo list, more than likely. You're right, and that probably did ruin her life and her ability to get a job, I would guess.
As Umar points out, this is more or less the equivalent of guys get that for public urination.
Yeah, that did happen.
It's like I'm peeing on a wall, cop comes over, and all of a sudden you're on a sex offender list. And it's just like, God.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that because, all right, there's a real difference between pissing in public or diddling your bean in public.
What if she squirts?
And it doesn't matter. And sexually assaulting a child. And if we start mixing those things up, Brett, then we've got a failed society where we don't distinguish between nuance. We have no nuance. We don't distinguish between a horrible act and an act of drunkenness that had nothing to do with children whatsoever.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So there, I covered that. Oh, by the way, I was watching. This is just annoying to me. I'm sorry, but I was watching a YouTube thing about what was his name? Henry Fonda and his life. Unhinged, it was called. It's by some site called Fascinate. Okay, and it was talking about his relationship and his friendship with James Stewart. But basically, the whole piece was Henry Fonda was a big piece of shit. He's a big piece of shit of a human being. He's a big piece of shit as a father. He's a big piece of shit of a husband. He had 4 wives. He's a big piece of shit. But the thing that I found amazing is this dumb fuck read the script in his obviously curbed way to make Henry Fonda the worst person since Hitler, is that he called, and I'm quoting this, he called James Stewart and Henry Fonda bosom buddies, not bosom buddies, bosom buddies. Like, is this guy never heard the word bosom buddies before in his life? It wasn't English. He was American. So if there's some funky pronunciation somewhere else I don't know about in Australia or New Zealand, this wasn't the case. This was an American dude reading a script, and he said bosom buddies. What's a bosom buddy? Is that I'm the boss of you, you're on bottom, I'm on top?
You know the editor of that show or a documentary or whatever it was goes, nobody will catch it.
Probably. Not that we've never mispronounced something.
45 retakes later, I'm like, yeah, close enough. Cut!
Bosom buddies, fine. Fuck it.
It's a Boston accent, yeah.
It's fine.
It was written in a Boston accent.
Americans are stupid. No one's going to catch that. No one's going to catch that.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, boy.
It's funny because you talked about whether or not you're watching has been depicted in some kind of a biased slight. In one way or the other. I was driving. We went to go. Took the kids to go see Matilda at the Bloomington Theater, right down in Kirkland, the old school theater.
Kirkwood.
Kirkwood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there by the bars. What's that building called?
Oh, it's the historic theater. Yeah.
Yeah. Old school one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We took the kids there to see the Matilda play. And the wife's in the front seat as we're driving down to Bloomington. She's watching a documentary on the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial.
Oh, God.
I kept finding myself looking over, curious to see if I can pick up on what side it was slided towards. Which side orchestrated this documentary? Because they're gonna push it one way or the other. And I actually sat through and watched the entire court case.
I did too.
through watching
not the whole thing. But,
I watched a bunch of YouTube lawyers break it down and shit like that.
Right.
But I watched the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just curious. I was like, am I going to glue? Oh, no, it looks like they're putting Johnny in a bad light or something like that. I was curious to find out, but I'm not going to sit down and watch it because I guarantee you
there's a bias.
I guarantee you if there's a bias, I can almost promise you which side it's going to be biased towards.
Yeah, listen, I don't care if you like Trump, hate Trump, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Don't give a fuck. But his old lawyers out there saying some crazy shit. Like if Trump becomes president, he's going to annex Canada. Seriously, he's saying shit like that. I don't care what you think of Trump, but that's just crazy talk. So biased talk. Obviously, this guy hates the dude, so he's going to say whatever. So anyhow, you just got to, some people you can't take seriously.
Yeah.
You just can't take them seriously because they're going to slant it, regardless of how impossible that would be. They're going to slant it that way anyhow.
Yep.
And at some point you're like, okay, I watched it. Johnny Depp, he was not the purveyor of anything bad in this relation. I'm sure he did some things that were not good, but he wasn't the abusive person in this relationship. Anyhow,
it's crazy. The whole thing itself, it was a bad relationship as a whole. But the stuff that came out during trial really lifted Johnny in that sense. But I don't want to go too much detail in that sense. Armando has a couple of options for our Yanks going to Europe.
Yeah, so
do you have people on this list?
Yeah, so Vasquez is on our list. Tolkien's on my list. Robinson's Miles is on the list.
Robinson, just like Bossum's.
Right. Dwan Jones is on my list. Gutierrez on my list. I don't have Ferreira on here because he ain't going anywhere. But thank you, Armando. Those are all good except for Ferreira, I think. He's the only one that has no shot at going anywhere at all. All right, so
if you grow a pair, if he just grows a pair, he could find home somewhere in Europe. Not saying top 5. It's possible, I guess. But if you grew a pair, and opted to leave Dallas, you'd probably take a pay cut. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that. But
I
don't know if it's gonna happen.
Same thing with Miles. He'd have to take a pay cut. That's just the facts, Jack. Because none of the teams that would be willing to have them are going to have that kind of money to spend. And we'll get into that later. By the way, I did not know this, but in England, they don't say router. Did you know that?
Rooter, isn't it?
They call it a rooter.
Yeah.
That's just weird. And I know they invented the language, so they can do whatever they want, but that's just fucking weird.
English just took like 3 different languages and meshed them together. I mean, they can't really call that inventing a language. I think, it's kind of inventing, I guess.
Yeah. There was also
they invented it, but we perfected it, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are a lot of things that we brought to the barn because of guys, some great writers that we've had on our side of the pond.
And on top of that, we've also improved other languages as well. Like we talked about the French settlements in Indiana. You know, the towns, like what was it, Gnawbone or something like that?
Yeah, it was Nebon.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Nobody, I guess, could pronounce that. So they're like, everybody started saying Gnawbone, and they just changed Nebon to Gnawbone, Indiana. And then there's another one was Moose Jaw, which was Mougeot.
Versailles?
Or something like that. Versailles. But we pronounce it Versailles, don't we, in Indiana?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. And then there's one
There's
more.
Mexico, Indiana. Oh, no, it's not different.
No. There's another one we mispronounce. Lafayette's just Lafayette. We get that one right. But there is another French name that we fuck up here in Indiana. Cairo? Yeah, but that's not really French. I mean, it is. Cairo is the French pronunciation of the capital of Egypt, but we pronounce it in Indiana as Cairo, not Cairo, Indiana, even though they're spelled the same. Did want to say, of the top 10 worst ways to die that were listed on YouTube this year in their annual top 10 worst ways to die, the guy that died by crawling into a septic system because he's a perv. And
I saw this. Yep.
Did you? Okay, yeah. So it's a Japanese guy named Naoki. He's an elementary school teacher who crawled into a septic tank in the women's room because in that part of Japan or that particular elementary school, they had a bathroom basically that, if you're a woman, you just squat and poo right into a hole. But he put his face right where the poo would come out, down through the poop chute, right onto his face or whatever. But anyhow, he died of hypothermia, I think it was. Like once he got in, he couldn't get it. At some point, shouldn't he have screamed? Like, okay, I fucked up. I did something really dumb, but I don't want to die in piss and shit in this cold septic tank. But no, he didn't. So maybe he did by the time it was too late, But he was in there for a few days, I guess.
Speaking of which, have you? I'm going to do a little bit of context building here before I get into the actual horrible way of dying.
Yeah,
although it probably would be horrible. It's just like whatever. Have you seen the new Star Trek movies with Chris Pine and all that?
No, I saw the first one. That's it.
So in the first one, the drilling laser or whatever, that gets lowered down to the planet and drills to the core and shit before they drop the red matter.
Yeah,
they're on the drill. There's these little vents that shoot like massive amounts of fire up in the air because they have to vent out shit, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the Romulans died there. Well, there's this one I saw of some guy working on this giant metal like vat almost, and he's working, and then out of nowhere, where he's working turned into a giant fireball for like 5 seconds, and then when the fireball goes away, you just see his clothes falling down. You don't see a body at all.
But that's Star Trek, right?
Well, it started as Star Trek, and then I just talked about an actual video.
Oh, a real one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, the real ones are the worst. Like
I said, the real one was the guy who was working. All of a sudden, a fireball came up, and then when the fireball went away, just his clothes were raining down.
Yeah,
like there was no body anywhere.
The worst one I saw for the year was the kid whose dog, he took his dog to the geysers, right? And his dog ran off the boardwalk, got off the leash or whatever, and jumped into a geyser. And of course, was melting and dying or whatever. But the guy jumped in after the dog, and then he died too. I know, it's your dog, but at some point you're like, fuck, I'm not jumping in that.
I'd be like, Ranger, do you have a gun, please?
It's like, yeah, let's just get this over with. Give me a stick and I'll just jab him in deeper so he dies faster. All right, anyhow, horrible. God, all right, let's get to soccer because this is getting great.
It was so nice, Derek, when we were talking about just humans dying. You brought up the dog. Come on.
Oh, I know. The dog things I can't take. But, hey, the dog didn't necessarily know the geyser, but the guy who crawled into the sewage system, the septic system, that was so tight he couldn't figure out how to get back out just so he could see some girl's sphincter pooing on him. The other elementary teacher chick that he had a crush on, that guy did that to himself. All right. He did that to himself. That's obsession, and she liked him too. She even mentioned in the interview, no, he was likable. Everybody liked him. If he would ask me on a date, I would have gone on a date with him. He could have seen that sphincter for free. He didn't even have to go in the septic tank to do it.
Could have done it on his bed, right?
Yeah, at home, in the luxury of warmth and in a bed somewhere. He could have checked out her sphincter for absolutely free and not have to die in a septic tank. But anyhow, Naoki, you did what you did. All right, let's get some soccer going here. 24 minutes in. Brett, what do you got?
I have your favorite segment of the show.
Okay, let's see.
In 3, 2, 1.
Transfer news. Everybody loves that transfer news. I don't know.
Just in time.
All right. Here we go. MLS transfer news. Tanner Tessman is one of the most valuable players in Serie B. That is for sure. Yet, his value is still less than Busio's in transfer market. So, got to call our friend there and say, hey, you got to fix that because there's no way that's right. There's no way.
Come on.
Yeah.
What's the matter with you?
Come on, dude. Bologna has been tracking him. I don't really like that tracking thing, Brett, because they track tons of players in Serie B. I'm sure they're even tracking Busio, for Christ's sake. Has been tracking him for over a year, and many Serie A clubs see him as an affordable, all-action 8. Should Venezia not be promoted, we should see Testament at a new Serie A club for the 24-25 season.
Yeah, and we said that too, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's possible he might draw enough attention where somebody might come and try to get him now in the winter. But will Venezia even entertain the options at this point? Because they're vying to try to get into back up to Serie A, and at that point, they might as well just wait till summer.
Oh, they're not transferring him out now. That's
not going to happen. Yeah,
not in this winter transfer.
It would have to be a pretty penny.
Yes, and I don't think they do it anyhow because they're in the top 4 currently.
Yeah,
they're looking very likely, unless they completely disintegrate and fall apart, to stay in the top 2, which is the auto spot promotion spots.
Yep.
And then they're going to keep him because they want to stay up. But
Venezia are currently second.
Yes. And he's the boss of the team. And when I say he's the boss of the team, I'm saying he plays center midfielder, and he is the guy who makes that team happen.
Is he still running as captain right now? He was for a while there.
I don't know. We could look that up real quick, but I believe his contract has 1 more year. Yeah, so I think some
are guaranteed. Either they re-sign him if they go up to Serie A, or they're selling off.
Either way, he's
going both.
He's going to get paid a lot more. That's for sure.
Yeah, yes.
When they re-sign him, I'm trying to find the team. Here it is, Venezia FC. Let's scroll down and see if he's still the captain. Has the captain armband.
Capitan.
God damn, this is slow. All right, here we go. All right, scrolling. Keep doing it. No, he's not really listed as the captain. The captain is Marco Modolo. Marco Modolo, who is a defender. All right,
that's fair. He did play captain for a couple of games there, did he not?
He was the captain for some games. I don't know if Marco was injured, but he did have the armband on.
Yeah. I mean, it's week in, week out, man. All I hear is that he is, arguably their top player, hands down.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Assist, goal, highest ratings.
Right. Defending. He's a monster in the defense too. Like, he's the backbone of that team, and that team knows it too. Mm-hmm. Whereas Busio didn't start, came off the bench, then started for a while. Now he's back on the bench, gets 15. So it's been for Busio, it's been a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
For Desmond, it's been a solid I'm the boss ride there in Venezia.
And I'm gonna give Al Weinstein his due here. He has obviously been a very pro Tessman fan from the get-go. And he was taking all the slings and arrows whenever Tessman came and had that horrible 15 minutes, followed by an okay second half, but not enough to fix a lot of people's first 15 minutes.
Yeah, and again, you can't watch one game and then say, this guy sucks. You can't do that. You can't do it.
Yeah, and you and I talk about it all the time where we said, hey, yeah, that wasn't a great performance. He'll get other opportunities. The problem is our midfield is just kind of filled.
It's loaded.
It's tough. I mean, he's going to continue playing. He'll get called back in. I have no doubt.
Olympics, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe. Might want to be one of the backbone guys for the Olympics. All right. Michigan just beat Alabama. Thank God.
Woo!
Sorry to you Alabama fans, but my dad is from Michigan, so Michigan is something that we do.
My wife's family and half of my parents' family are Michigan. No, take that back. My wife's family is all Michigan fans. My parents are Michigan State, but regardless.
Yeah. I think my dad got his master's at Michigan State, but that doesn't really matter. He's still Michigan heart and heart. Mm-hmm. He's going to support Michigan or Michigan State if they're in this particular tournament here. All right. What else?
So good on Tessman. I don't expect it this season. Let's see what happens summertime.
Summertime. All right. U.S. men's national team haters. Can you make this bigger? It seems smaller than usual. That's what she said. All right.
Hey.
Paxton Aronson spotted wearing an RB Salzburg jacket. Incoming loan move? No. I mean, I wouldn't be against it.
Do you think he's just wearing his brother's jacket?
Yeah, I do. I do. And
this is all over in Union. Yeah, we feel like that has to be the case, right?
yeah, I mean, he's not going there anytime soon. He might. This would be a great move for him. They already had one of the brothers. Why not get the other one there to gain some experience? Because he's fallen off a cliff. He's fallen off a cliff at Frankfurt.
It'd be a good move for either of the brothers at this point.
Yeah, if they both ended up at Salzburg, that would be glorious. Because
go back, get some more playing time, gain your confidence. For the love of God, Brendan.
I mean, it seems like that's where Brendan's level is, right? You know, it's sort of Belgium, Holland, obviously Austria, but that sort of level is where he should be.
We're really going to be breaking topic here and all, but when it comes to Brendan in that sense, though, I don't care where he's playing. I want him to play. I want him to do well. I want him to get confidence back. If he has to go back to Austria and gain that, that's fine. He was always the best performances for the U.S. men's national team has always been when he's played for Salzburg.
Yeah, his big
go ahead. It's just confidence. It's just confidence. He's not going to replace Pulisic. He's not going to overtake Weah. So at this point, we're talking about bench players.
Yes.
So I'm just happy if he has his confidence. If he has his confidence, that's all that matters.
So if you ask me, hey Derek, you got to build this team. Who are going to be who's your top pick to replace one of the wingers? And my top pick is going to be Sargent, even though he just came back from injury and played
scoring goals though. Oh, man.
So
let's hold on. Let's pull that guy up real quick. Hold on, where you at? Hold on, I got him right here.
Did he score a goal in those 12 minutes? I don't know.
Oh, he scored a goal. Yeah.
God damn.
How
did I miss? Oh, it wasn't on TV. That's right.
It wasn't on the TV. So yeah, he scored the tying goal for Norwich today, or yesterday, or whatever it was. It was today, wasn't it?
No, couldn't have been today. Was it today?
January 1st. Well, this is when Herc posted it.
I think the game was the day before.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah.
But yeah, he scored the goal. Coming in, you got what? Like you said, 12 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a nice little goal. I'm not going to play it because we're going. England has been downright bitches when it comes to this.
Premier League, you mean? Yeah.
Well, England in general. We'll just call England bitches.
No.
But he takes another touch and he slots it between the defender's leg to far post. It hits the post, bounces in. It was a nice goal. It's a nice finish.
He's back.
Woo!
Yeah.
But to your point, though, using him as a wing option, that's always been available to us.
Yes.
Always has been.
He works hard. He's quick.
I wouldn't put him as a winger if I had the opportunity to, but if I need to look at him compared to bringing in another wing option that's either not too young and not experienced enough or not good enough, I'm throwing his ass in.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of negativity around Sargent. No one was harder on Sargent when he wasn't living up to what we thought he could do than us.
Especially you. Me. Constantly busting his balls or lack thereof.
Right. Exactly. I said, grow a pair, little boy, and grow up and become a man. And he has. He's done that for a year straight now, maybe a year and a half. He has been a big boy. Since his child came, basically. That's when he grew a pair. Now, his wife was going to say he had a pair before that, but that's a literal pair. I was talking about a metaphoric pair, which on the field, when you're a fucking striker, you demand the fucking ball.
Yes.
And you never saw him bitch at any of his teammates saying, give me the ball. You never see him put his arms down and say, pass me the fucking ball. Now he does it. And if people miss him, he calls them out.
After the EPL season, maybe he binged our show and watched every Yanks Abroad,
right,
just to see what we were saying about him. Because his first season in the championship, you started seeing. Now, he was sharing time at striker with Buki at that point still.
Yep.
And other times when he wasn't playing striker, he was playing out wider, maybe as a duo striker, depending on the formation. And
he played like tactics. A second striker. Yeah.
Yeah. And so but at that point, when he went to championship, at that point, he magically grew a pair. Maybe it was after having a child. He's like, I've got to be the provider. I've got to be the man here. Rawr.
Right.
And he came out, guns a-blazing.
And this season, with no Pookie and him being the guy, he came out and was the guy until he got injured. He was the man. He was the heart and soul of this team. And I know as soon as he gets fitness, he's starting because this team is hurting without him.
He is going to start next match. I almost guarantee this.
Because I do. I think
pay attention to the actual Norwich fans, and they're just like when Norwich had blasted that Sargent's back at elementary schools, talking about soccer. People were like, "Why are you playing with my emotions?"
Exactly. Why are you telling me he's
back on the pitch right now?
Yeah, not back in an elementary school, you fucking dicks. We want him back on the pitch. Quit fucking tickling our nuts and tell us when he's really back and ready to play.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I know. We are big Josh Sargent supporters or whatever you want to call us, but talent is talent. And this kid has shown the talent since he was like 16 years old.
Berlin had a phrase for that.
I don't know, but
I can't remember what Berlin's always called us.
Sergeant Ball Cuddlers or something
like that, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what?
Fair enough too.
I'm not good. Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, we've never stopped backing Sargent. We have criticized him heavily, or I have on the show.
Predominantly you were definitely harder, which maybe that's what got him going. So good work there.
Harder is better, Brett. All right, what else we got?
Well, no, we're still on this topic because Gomez says, unpopular opinion, Josh Sargent is the most talented striker in the U.S. men's national team pool.
I agree.
On this train since day one.
And he's right. It's the eye test.
And it's one of those things that you sit there and you can think about it. Like, let's see, Balogun might be more of a clinical finisher as far as what he does on the pitch. Like maybe his specific style.
No,
I'm painting opportunities for what you can say.
Are you being like devil's advocate?
I'm saying all the advocates here.
All right. All the demons.
I think overall, I think Sargent is the most well-rounded and not too far on certain attributes that other strikers are maybe better at.
What's Pepe better at than he is?
He comes in and scores for the United States national team. Sargent hasn't scored since fucking Cuba, so
I get it.
I'm just saying, and hey, he hasn't had a lot of fucking playing time for the United States national team. I understand, but I'm just saying, if I've got to give Pepe something, he scores goals when he plays for the U.S.
So what I would have given Pepe for a while is Pepe's more mature than Sargent, but that's over. Those days are done.
Kid does that to you.
Sargent grew a pair.
Yeah,
he now has a pair. And they're at least the size of Pepe's. So we'll see what happens. But I love Pepe too. Don't get me wrong. And in fact, some people are going to criticize me because I'm more probably pro Pepe than I am Balogun. I'm more probably pro Sargent than pro Balogun. That's an unpopular opinion, along with Herc's so-called unpopular opinion.
Well, and the problem is Balogun might be the overall better striker. But we got to remember we're playing with Berhalter ball here, and there are certain aspects to the game that fit to Pepe and even Sargent's MO.
Yes,
quite frankly, because again, Balogun had a great season last season. Nobody's taking that away from him. He started off a little slow this season, but he's still there. But when it comes to Berhalter ball, I mean, I think Sargent has Berhalter ball down pat, and I think Pepe has coming off the bench and scoring late in the game for Berhalter down pat.
So, I think Pepe and Sargent can both run between the lines. They're not as fast as Balogun is when he does it, so that gives Balogun an advantage when he runs between the lines for through balls.
Yeah,
he's really good at that. But when you ask me or you tell me that in Greg's system, there's not going to be a whole lot of that going on. Most of what you're going to get is probably going to be back to goal or crosses. Who's better at that? Pepe's better. Sargent's better than Balogun. Balogun is not a sit in the box guy who's going to go up, rise up, and head balls in. That's not his deal. He's not the kind of guy you want playing with his back to goal either. So there's that too. And that's what Greg's system requires. So if we're talking about Greg and we got to, U.S. Soccer made their bed, now they got to fucking lie in it. And we're going to have goddamn Greg Berhalter as the fucking coach and using his system. Frankly, Pepe and Sargent are better options for Greg's system.
It's just more telling that when Greg came into the limelight again, he's like, I know Balogun's a good striker. I just don't know how to use it.
Yeah, he did.
That's the most paraphrasing, but that was the most telling quote ever.
We still haven't.
God.
He said we still haven't figured out how to use him.
Yeah, sure we haven't. Yeah, okay.
And that is still a paraphrase, but I think that is closer to what he said.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Al Weinstein, our good friend Al. Hope you had a great holiday season and New Year, Al. And of course, happy Hanukkah to you. For $99.99. Hey, listen, I know that I'm a 4% tribe member, so I can see the tribe when they're there. 4% ain't much, but hey, that test tells you everything about your freaking every percentage of what you got in your history there. Al Weinstein, $9.99. The big thing Haji and Sargent are doing that Pepe isn't is making a substantial difference. Coventry and Norwich are way worse without their Americans. PSV would be the same without Pepe.
Well, no. Finish the quote. Finish it.
69. So I agree with everything you said there because I think Haji's making a huge difference lately with Coventry. Sargent is night and day. Norwich are going to be night and day with him back. But Pepe doesn't play a whole lot yet. But when he does play, he does score. I'll give you that. And he has made a difference for them in the Champions League. He did, in fact, get them qualified for the Champions League. So I guess if you're saying that, I would agree. But I think a lot of people are going to say, well, De Jong's still the guy there at PSV, and they could survive without Pepe with De Jong. De Jong's still the man. So, and I get that, too. I understand that.
And to that point, Haji had started off the season hot, kind of disappeared on the score sheet. I'm not saying he disappeared in the matches because I didn't watch the matches, and I don't know how he performed. Maybe he performed admirably, just didn't get on the board.
I watched some of them. He was there, but yeah.
But he's definitely made a massive difference of recent. So what you said with Norwich with and without Sargent is night and day. That's obvious. Norwich definitely needs Sargent.
I mean, Haji has a brace this last game.
Yep.
If Sims doesn't rip off his goal, I don't know if you saw that, but that fucker was going in, and Sims managed to put his little toe on it. Just before it was already going in the corner of the goal. And then Sims got credit for the goal, but Haji got credit for the assist. Obviously, a goal and assist in a game is still good, but a brace would have been nice, and he deserved a brace. And so Haji's doing well.
When it comes to Pepe, this is the tricky one when comparing the goals he scores to everybody else, because he does come in late in the match. Most of the time, the match is predominantly already decided for. 2-0 up, 1-0 up, 3-0 up, whatever. And then he comes in, he scores a goal. Now, whether or not that's partially due to him being in the right spot at the right time and finishing the goal, or if the other team is disheartened, or maybe they're trying to press too high because they're trying to come back and he ends up, catching them off guard, that's up in the air. I would say though that if De Jong were to say go injured, and I'm not saying anybody wants to go injured here. I'm just saying if he happened to go injured tomorrow, I don't think PSV would suffer from losing him, because I think Pepe would step in, and I think that he would do just as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think that if De Jong went down tomorrow, I don't think the team drops off an inch. And the key for them so far this season really has been Tillman and Dest, because they have been more regularly starting and playing a lot more minutes, Dest especially. I did hear someone say, and I can't remember who it was, that Dest doesn't really want to stay at PSV, that this is just a loan for him, and he's looking back to getting back into a top 5 league. Well, my word to Dest would be, if you can stay
shut
the fuck up and just stay at PSV, dude. You're going to be playing Champions League. You're going to be fucking a regular starter. You're a star on that team.
This is the thing, though. Oh, this is just like Brandon for me. Dest doesn't need to be playing the top caliber, quite frankly.
No.
he needs his confidence. He's a very, very particular back. And his where he benefits from is being confident, balling week in, week out, and then coming for the United States national team on a fucking high. That's where he benefits the most from. Going and playing for the top league against the top competition would definitely benefit him. I'm not going to say anything about that, but it also stands a chance of where he may lose his spot and his confidence dips again.
Yeah, he's a lot like John Brooks in this way. If he doesn't start, he gets pissed. And when he's pissed, he acts like an idiot. And that's what you're going to see from him. That's what happened to him at Barcelona. That's what happened to him to AC Milan. When he wasn't getting started, his attitude changed. And for the negative. And maybe he matures and he doesn't do that anymore. But some guys can't stand losing. So anyhow, I can't stand losing. I can't. A little police there. So anyhow, I think he should just go where he's going to play. And PSV's going to be in fucking Champions League next year too. So stay, dude. Don't go back to Barcelona and fight for a spot you can't win. That manager's already decided you're not good enough. He's already made his decision. He's made a decision based on your character, not your play. So leave.
On top of that, playing in a top 5 league, let's just say top 3 league, let's just say, because I'm sure he's not looking at the Portugals or even the French to that point.
No.
Although it's not French, but I'm sure he's looking at, England, Spain, or Italy as big 3.
Maybe Germany, but
that's a great point. I forgot all about Germany. I forgot about Germany. But what are all 4 of those leagues going to require you to do, especially Italy and Germany and even England? Right, maybe Spain in there too. Sure on that. They're going to require those backs to get back and play predominantly some defense with the attacking options.
Right,
and that's his strength.
No, I wouldn't go to the Premier League. That's a bad idea.
No.
He could definitely succeed in Germany with the right team.
Yeah.
But why? You find the right team in Germany, then go do it. But right now, stay at PSV. But that quote really bugged me that he doesn't really want to stay at PSV. This is just a step in his progression back to a top team, a top tier team in the world. Okay, well, that's fine. But I don't think that's necessary right now. Why don't you mature still a little bit more, play in a couple more years of Champions League ball, and show us what you got. Mature as a person, and then make your move. But that's what I'm hearing. That's not his plans. So that's unfortunate. All right.
What else we got? If he goes to the top 5 or whatever, and he goes back to his funk, we at least got Scally to fall back on, right?
Yeah. Scally's a solid defender. Not going to give you much going forward.
No.
Swear to God, he heard me say that the last time we said that on this show, and he scored
every week. Say it.
I know he scored the next game, and then he made that little inference, like, "Yeah, you see this? You see here? I'm not listening to you, motherfuckers." All right, and this guy, U.S. Men's National Team prospect, says has failed in 2 major leagues about Josh Sargent. Wow, I don't know this guy's idea of what failure is. He was just a kid when he went to fucking Werder. And that whole team ended up sucking, not just him. And he was playing out wide the whole time.
Well, now's the thing. His big season with Bremen, which warranted an $8 million transfer to Norwich, who just got promoted to the EPL, and they ponied out some cash for it. For a striker who had 7 goals in the Bundesliga. You know what? He was a leading goal scorer for that team. And he did that while playing half the season as a striker, half the season out wide right.
Right.
So it was, to call that a failure is mind-boggling. Yes, it's not great. It's not going to keep your team from relegation. If you have 7 goals as a winger/striker and you're the leading goal scorer, your team's probably going to get relegated. But that wasn't a bad season for him. It was a bad season for Bremen.
Right. It leads me to the idea of what this guy considers as failure, because I don't think he's been very contemplative about this or thoughtful, because his standards seem to be like, you've got to be the best player on the worst team in the league, which is what Werder Bremen was. And he was the best player for the most part on one of the worst teams in the league in Werder Bremen. And it was his first season at Norwich. Not great. No, everyone at Norwich sucked that season. His whole team sucked.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that came with him from Werder Bremen sucked. Really bad.
Well, yeah.
They sucked together. It was a big bukkake fest of sucking. So I don't know that's like a team failure. That's not necessarily an individual failure.
And so, I say this not to bag on Balogun. I'm not here to bag on either of these two players. Pepe failed in the same league. Didn't score a goal. Barely got playing time.
Pepe went to one of the worst teams in the Bundesliga
as far
at the
as
town,
creating opportunities,
Augsburg, and was immediately benched. Whereas Josh Sargent was almost a regular playing. He was a starter / regular rotation guy for Werder Bremen since he was fucking 18 years old.
Mm-hmm. So and so I mean, Pepe obviously realizes he's in a bad situation. He doesn't like the club he's at this point. Asked for a loan and then got a transfer. He's in a much better situation now. And I'm not saying this to bag on him, but he failed at the same league that Josh Sargent, quote unquote, failed, having scored 7 goals, some odd assists. I don't even remember the assists. Using Balogun as an example here, I mean, if you just look at the FIFA ratings or UEFA ratings, as far as what league is in the top 5, I mean, France at the time, I don't even know if it was a top 5 league. I think Portugal was in the top 5 leagues with Spain, Italy, Germany, and England at the time. It's all numbers. I mean, I would take France over Portugal any day of the week, my personal opinion.
Depth-wise, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, he scored a buckload of goals in a 5th/6th top league.
Yes.
Whereas Sargent still scored 7 in arguably the 2nd/ maybe 3rd best league, if you depending on where you're comparing the best quality in comparison.
So,
but it's you're not doing it. You're doing him a disservice by saying, "Oh, he failed because he only scored this many goals." Well, Balogun scored this many goals in France.
Which the biggest part of this, though, Brett, is the fallacy by comparison in the first place.
Yeah.
They all play different places. They all have had different experiences, and tying string between Sargent, Pepe, and Balogun in unrelatable ways is a fallacy. It's a horrible argument to make. It's not even a rational argument to make. Mm-hmm. And the way he frames it is even worse because it includes no context. It's like 2 + 3 = 7 is what he's got here. And
he goes on talking about how he didn't even have the ability to succeed. Because he's only a worker. That's all Sargent. He's only a worker, Derek. He has no ability to succeed anywhere.
That's a guy that has no context about Josh Sargent's career, probably just started watching soccer or football in the last 2 or 3 years at best, missed his whole youth career, missed all of his early days with Werder Bremen completely, hasn't watched any of those matches, knows nothing to little nothing about Josh Sargent as a player, so didn't have the ability to succeed. I think this comment didn't have the ability to succeed because it, again, is contextualist.
Yes.
It lacks context. I'm sorry.
And that's the thing. I think I watched every single one of those Werder Bremen games.
So did
that season. I watched every single one of them. And to sit there and say, because that's what this screams to me is, this screams stat watching. And you're like, he only scored 7 goals in that season, 2,092 minutes or whatever. Clearly that's no good, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you watch the games, he was arguably the best player on the pitch. I said it week in, week out. Sargent was the best player on the pitch today, and some people disagreed. But I'm like, no, he absolutely was. His ability to move the ball around, he was the best passer. He's the best in the air. He's the best at shooting. I was like,
yep.
Even the announcers said it a couple games, like, oh, if only they had a whole team full of Sargents, they might stave off relegation.
Yeah, and they're not even American. Those were British guys calling the game. So, it's
beyond me. I don't know.
If stats for this guy, if stats were a hard-on, this guy would be deep-throating it. And that's the problem. You can't be a stat cocksucker. And that's what this guy is. Like, did you watch the games, motherfucker? No. Derek, how do you feel about Rashika? Don't even get me started on that guy. That guy is the most selfish cunt that ever fucking kicked the ball. Actually, I used to believe that until I saw Poku play for PSV. Oh, no. Aze. And then sometimes I think, Jesus, Chuck Wasey might be right behind him. And then Leao's not far behind. It's some of the most selfish people, except those, at least Leao is a super skilled player, but he is a selfish fuck. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
All right.
This kind of it's fine to not rate Sargent higher than Pepe and Balogun. That's a personal preference, and you're more than welcome to say that. And you can even say X, Y, and Z. But when you say, like, oh, Sargent doesn't have the ability to succeed, he's only a workhorse. I mean, well, you're missing his abilities. You're missing what he actually does and provides for any team. There's a reason why every coach that has him loves him and plays him all the time. Finds a way to get him on the pitch. Well, we have a decent striker. I know Sargent's probably better than the striker, but we have a decent striker and our wings suck. So let's just throw him over there.
You know, there's that thing called the eye test, Brett.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't watch it, then you're not going to know. Or let's say you take a marker and you draw 2 little black dots on your testicles and flap them up near the TV. That doesn't count as watching the game. All right? You got to watch the games and then you'll know. And if you don't watch the games, then you're going to say stupid things like, he's just a worker. No, Aronson's just a worker. Okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Know your shit, dude. Know your shit. All right. Or shut up. No, you don't have to shut up. You can be stupid. No. I'm not telling anybody to shut up. But I just wish people would be more thoughtful and contextual about what they have to say. Like, if I'm going to have an opinion, I'm going to provide some context about it. I'm not going to just say, oh, he never had the skills in the first place. No, that would be stupid. If I'm going to say something like that about somebody, like let's say my Conrad thing, I never said Conrad doesn't have the skills.
Yeah.
I've always said it's between his ears. So that guy's just blatantly saying Sargent's not very good. Well, then you haven't watched him play because he's technical, he's fast, he's quick, he's got a good soccer IQ, he's got all the tools. What his problem was between the ears early on and not being more aggressive. So anyhow, that's gone. He is more aggressive now. So BMR, one of our favorites, 209. Brett, are you going to talk about how the Jedi to Liverpool rumors were fake?
Thank you. I didn't hear about this, but I'm glad to hear that they were.
We knew they were fake.
I mean, I didn't think it was going to happen, but we brought it up. We talked about.
We talked about it last show.
All transfer news is a bunch of hypothetical nonsense. 99% of it doesn't actually pan out.
No, it's a joke, and that's why transfer news is my least favorite, section of the show. I do it because we have to cover the news. But most of it's not news. It's fake news. Fake news.
That is a total lie because it's such a popular segment and real, like a quality segment. That's why we've got this impressive intro for
transfer news. Transfer news.
I mean, all those fake, all the fireworks and the,
but a lot of those
and all that stuff. I mean, that's high quality stuff only for a quality segment.
A lot of those low rent cowboys here on X that keep posting this shit, all these rumors. Oh, somebody's monitoring this guy, or they're have a spy cam in his fucking toilet or whatever. They're watching him. Like 90% of that is garbage, and we all know it's garbage. But they're doing it for clicks. All right.
We're doing it for views, so.
Well, we don't have to do it at all. We're doing it for fun.
For fun.
Yes, for the jollies. All right, Cranks says Anthony Jedi Robinson has more interceptions than any other player in Europe's top 5 leagues. He has 52. The next highest is 39. Listen, there's no doubt the Jedi has been fantastic this season.
Yeah.
He should have had an assist in the game this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He that was a total.
Was it Jimenez that fucked it up?
I think it was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Should have had that assist. I mean, there was some scrappy play that he didn't always come out on top of during that game, but generally he is fantastic. And that was amazing win. As a Fulham fan, I almost broke out the Vaseline at the end of that game. I was really close to breaking out some Vaseline. That was not fun to watch. And fuck Arsenal. So just happening. If you're an Arsenal fan, I say that
it's all banter
because I'm a Fulham fan. Of course, I'm going to say that. Don't take it personally. If you love Arsenal, you go for it.
I only bring this up because of the increasing number of transfer rumors behind Jedi, and you just start seeing these stats piling up. And you have to wonder if some of the big boys are actually contemplating on pulling the trigger.
Well, he's a left back. Those are rare, and I get it. I understand there probably will be some interest from some big name clubs, but I hope he considers his future and making sure that he continues to play as a starter. I'm not saying he shouldn't believe in himself. Yeah, I guess there's a time and place for that, where you're like, listen, I'm betting on me, and I don't care. I'm going to fucking AC Milan or Inter Milan or wherever, and I'm going to play.
Mm-hmm.
But, the left back thing helps him. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I have to say that there's, speaking as an old man looking back into the past, right? Old man talking here. There's definitely moments where you look back and you're like, what happened to the guys who always stayed at the clubs and that became legendary for that club? And I use Juve as an example. I talk about the Del Pieros. We don't have a Del Piero at Juve anymore.
Right.
A good striker. I mean, we have good strikers.
But he was a rare beast.
But yeah. I'm just saying, what happened to these players who rode out their career at the clubs that they loved?
It doesn't happen much anymore.
Not anymore, because money speaks, right?
Money talks.
For the most part, yeah.
And, Del Piero always got paid really well by Juve. So
fuck yeah, they did. I agree.
But yeah, it's that things have definitely changed. But I like that era more. I have to agree. I like the fact that Karl-Heinz Rummenigge played almost his whole career, I believe, the whole career in Bayern. I mean, that's back when I used to like Bayern. I don't like them anymore. I'll take anybody but Bayern winning the Bundesliga at this point.
Please, for the love of God, somebody jump.
But I was a young kid, so I didn't know any better. Sorry, I have a frog in my throat.
And again, it's just I feel like you had better rivalries when the players stayed at the clubs longer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had feuds going back for a decade at a time. I mean, so like remember when this happened? Dude, that was like 10 years ago. What the fuck, let it go? Like, nah, fuck you.
I mean, how long was Lampard at Chelsea? How long?
Yeah.
Was Gerrard at Liverpool? There was that, and then now we're in an era where, Ibrahimovic is on a new team every 2 years. So so that's just how it is.
I guess this is a roundabout way of me saying I kind of hope that Jedi, his confidence takes a boost from all these talks, but I kind of hope that he sticks it out at Fulham and continues to try to improve that club.
Yeah, no one feels that way more than me, Brett.
Yeah.
As a Fulham creature, yes. As somebody that's been watching Fulham since Eddie Lewis was on Fulham.
Yeah.
All right. What year was that? 2001?
Somewhere in that range.
Somewhere around there. That's when they first started having rare broadcasts in the morning of these things. And then McBride came after Eddie left. And then it was just like, man, if there was a goddamn Fulham game and McBride was playing, I was up. I don't care if it was 6:30 in the morning. I was up for that shit.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got? Show tonight? Yes. Yep. We're here, Brian.
Yeah. BMR says, hey, here's something we talk about.
Our good buddy, Matthew Hoppy, has no MLS loan opportunities in the winter. He's determined to continue his career with Middlesbrough FC and throughout Europe. I wish him the best. That I'm a little biased, but I love Matthew Hoppy. I think he's a great kid.
I love his on-field personality, and I think that's something that the U.S. men's national team is lacking. I'm hoping he finds his feet somewhere, and then starts to rebuild his career at this point. And he's super fucking young still. He has time, but I mean,
something else.
That fire he brings is just something else.
Yeah, there's something going on here we don't know about. That I'm too big of a pussy to ask. But maybe I will at some point. I still haven't, and I just feel uncomfortable about it. But I do think that I'm surprised there are no more MLS loan opportunities. I don't know if he's that expensive. I mean, I don't know what his salary is that they would have to take on. I'm sure that's negotiable. But but going back to Middlesbrough could be a quiet 6 months or 4 months for him here the rest of the season. So we'll see. We'll see. I just
find out where we're at with Middlesbrough. They're middle of the table. They're 12th.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it didn't work out the first time, and I don't know what's going to change the dynamics. I think there's a different manager there, or is it still the same manager? I think it's the same manager as last time. So I don't know how you change those dynamics. If the manager before didn't rate you and he's still there and you're going back, I don't know. Somebody who's a Middlesbrough guy can tell me here, somebody who follows Middlesbrough, whether the same manager that was there when he was there the first time. If it's a new manager, then maybe you got some hope, right? You can play yourself. You got some hope. But if there's not, I don't know how the dynamic changes. If the other manager is still there and he didn't rate you the first time, then he's not going to rate you now. Hope is done for U.S. men's national team. Hope is done.
I'm thinking there's a missing P there.
Oh, Hoppy is done. I don't think he's done.
Roy didn't slip there, Portis.
Yeah, I don't. He's near done. He's near done. Something needs to change dramatically. For now, he's out. He's out. But what we saw before from him was hopeful. So I'm just not ready to trash that yet.
No, knowing what we know about at least the personality, the fire that he plays on the pitch, if he can get starting on Middlesbrough at some point, whether it's a striker or midfield, because this is the point I was going to bring up is that again, once we go past Donovan and Weah out wide, we're sitting there going like, oh, shit, who the fuck are we going to start? We're going to start Paredes, I guess. Paredes is
Sargent.
time. We got Sargent's back in the fold, yes. But then it's like
after that,
Brandon, we got Zendejas, okay.
It's a big drop off. Yep.
So I'm just saying, there's an opening for him if he can get playing time, even in the championship, because we're talking about Sargent at this point. But if he can get playing time, even in the championship at a wing spot, because we know he can play that role. Played that role for San Jose, even.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, he played out wide. Or, did he play out wide? Or did he play striker?
He played wide for us too.
Yeah. And
for Greg.
Yeah. So. It's not that Hoppy's done with the United States national team. There's opportunities. I think he's done at the striker role unless he just flat out balls at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's
even then that's an uphill battle.
I mean, if you're close to Matthew Hoppy, it's you're just sort of waiting to see what happens next and holding on to your nutsack and hope something goes well because so far. Since he left Schalke, it's been a shit show.
Seriously, if he goes back to Borough, he gets an opportunity or two, and he puts one or two away. I think the door is going to open up for him.
Well, it's a tale of warning. Like, yeah, I know Schalke went down, but Hoppy didn't have to force a transfer, and he did. His agent forced that. He should have stayed and played with Schalke in the 2 Bundesliga, continue to gain more experience. But okay, that's. Monday morning quarterbacking, as they say.
Hindsight's always 20/20, Derek.
Right. But that's what I would have done. I think that's what we said he should do at the time. But
we have to go back to the tape. But I think it was pretty quick once Schalke was going down that the rumors were already swirling. And at that point, we're talking about the rumors. Transfer news, So.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure I said that. But that's just from what I remember, because it feels like this is deja vu all over again.
The same could have been said about Sargent Bremen, because Bremen immediately the next season went back up with Schalke back to Bundesliga.
Yeah, I mean he could have stayed too, but it's sort of working itself out at Norwich. At least he's the star of that Norwich team when he's healthy. He is the man, whereas Hoppy's not really been the man anywhere. So, all right, how did I transform McKennie? I didn't transform him. I just told him during the summer that he had a great chance of staying at Juventus as long as he started running on July 15th and stopped on May 26th. Oh, Allegri's so good. I mean,
not necessarily his play on the field, not necessarily Leggery ball, but
no,
the shit he says. The shit he says is hysterical.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and he did a lot of running this weekend, and they won. And McKennie should have had an assist in that game too, and a goal.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
this is a third game in the row that he should have had a goal. He had that bicycle attempt. He had another one that the keeper made a save on, and then this one he kicked right at the keeper,
straight at the keeper.
Oh my god!
He would have just slightly missed
anywhere.
It would have gone in. But yeah, that's too bad. And so,
but he's having a great season too. Let's not. This is one of the things that the stat nerds would look at and be like, oh, look, he's not having a great season there. He has no goals. No
goals, man.
But yeah, no goals. He hasn't got his first goal this year. But
I would say that's failure.
He's been solid every match, and it's just like, oh god, if he would have just that was 3 games in a row that he could have bagged a goal, and that it'd be nice to see 3 goals.
It's so weird because back when he was first at Juve, he was scoring goals off of headers and. He's just not doing that anymore.
He had like 6, I think, in that season or something like that. I mean, not bad by any means. Don't get me wrong.
It's 5 or 6 more than he has now.
100%. Yeah, that's true.
So,
he has no goals right now.
You'd think he would have squeaked one in on accident by now. But he, we'll see. He's still an integral and important part to Allegri's team. And I don't see him going anywhere. And I know as soon as they scored that goal against Roma, I'm like, oh, God, here we go. It's going to be a boring-ass game.
Juve has a clearly something they work on during practice and stuff because it seems like every third corner kick, Weston's running near post to slip it in. Yeah. And it's clearly a given play. They're like, well, Weston's damn good at getting up in the air. He'll get to that ball.
But he needs to be the finisher. I don't like him being the slipper.
I don't disagree with you at all, Derek.
I'd rather him be on the end of the ball at the far post. But hey, I'm not coaching the team. At least Weah got the 90 minutes.
That's good. Yeah.
So that was nice to see.
We're back.
He looked a little lost at times. Like, oh man, you could just tell how eager he was. He
had 2 months off. I mean, it's fine.
He wanted the ball so bad, but it very often was on the other side of the field.
They camped it on that left side of the pitch a lot of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So he just kind of stood around for a while, and that's unfortunate. I'd like to see him get more opportunity and let him make a run down that wing. I think they're really missing out on using his speed. Like, they're really not looking for him. Like, he could be deadly down that right wing if they get him the ball.
He's deadly for us.
But he's not deadly for Juve. So that's going to change.
Digital says that Weston had 5 goals, which is still 5 more goals than he has right now.
I think I said 5, didn't I? Or you said 5?
I said 6, and you said it's 5 or 6 more goals than he has now.
Yeah, I think my memory was 5. So, but I thought you might be right that it was 6. So I
don't remember that much. Only player I remember the number of goals is Sargent at Bremen, and that's because, and I guess Sargent at Norwich in the EPL because that was simple. That's 2 goals.
Right.
But the Sargent at Bremen was one that I had to constantly bring up a lot. So it's ingrained in my brain. It's one of the few
because he had so few opportunities too.
Yeah.
I mean, they got dominated that season. All right.
Sticking on McKennie in that Roma game, he came off with a little bit of a knock at the very end of the match.
He'll be fine.
He is. He's already back training.
Yep.
Look at him. Fine. He's happy.
Are those tight shorts?
Those are short shorts. Yeah.
They look a little like crotchy.
Well, I mean, look behind him. Comparison.
Is that Weah? Behind him?
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever that guy is behind him, he's got a big schlong. You see that indention part right there?
Yeah.
It goes all the way to his left thigh. And he's not even excited.
Yeah.
Hate to see that thing all excited and stuff. All right, Cranks. Is he becoming popular, this Cranks guy?
No, just because that's been around, man. He's supposed to. He does a lot of the Every Touch videos.
But does he change his name? Because it's not usually Cranks.
No, it's been Cranks for a long time.
Has it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Haji Wright has 4 goals and 3 assists for Coventry in 11 games since playing as a left wing /forward. Get this man in the U.S. men's national team camp for March window as winger depth at the very best, at least. So now we're looking at this time, right, where you got Way on the right, you got Pulisic on the left. Does it make sense to bring in Sargent and Haji as your backup wingers instead of, say, Zendejas and Aronson? Fuck yes, it does.
Yeah.
Fuck yes, it makes a lot of sense. Listen, you take who's hot. You take the hot hand. You take the players that are on a good run. And I know you want to help. And Berhalter's mentioned this. We need to get Aronson's confidence back up. That's up to him. He's a grown fucking man. He's got hair on his balls. He needs to work on getting his own fucking confidence up on his own at this point. He doesn't need to be called up. And as well as Zendejas is playing for club, I still think that Haji and Sargent are just better fucking players, eye test wise, on the wing than Zendejas or Aronson could ever be. So I'm going, you ask me who my spare wingers are behind Pulisic and Weah, I'm saying Haji and I'm saying Sargent right now. And everybody else can go take a nap right now or go figure out how to make their game better.
I think bringing Sargent in as a wing option would please the entire population, because you have people who think that, well, it'd be great to get Sargent back in the U.S. men's national team roster, and then you have the people who believe that Sargent is a midfielder / winger, and there you go, problem solved, right? Everybody's happy.
Well, he is a winger. I mean, he's played enough of it to know how to do it. He's played it for us as well, so Greg knows he can do that. What Greg didn't know is that Haji could play winger. And that's not something I thought Haji could do either, honestly.
Hey, Larry had it down. Larry had that from the get-go.
And I've now watched 2 games and a bunch of highlights of Haji this season for Coventry, and I'm pretty impressed with him out wide. I really am. Does he
play as more of a wide striker, or does he actually come back?
No, he plays wide. He does cut in, yes, on occasion, like any left winger does. But I mean, he has defensive responsibilities, and he does a good job at that too on Coventry. So he has to go play defense. And they play a relatively similar sort of setup that we do if we're playing the double pivot at the U.S. men's national team. So I think he is a like for Pulisic, whereas I think Sargent could be as well on either wing. Sargent can play either wing. But they prefer to have Haji play on the left side so he can cut in, I guess, use his right foot. Is he right-footed? I believe he is.
Yeah, he's right-footed, yeah. So, with Sarge outright, let's just live in the land that Sargent and Wright have come in for Weah and Pulisic.
Yeah.
Having Haji out left makes sense because his ability, what you would think would be his want to cut into his right and shoot his right.
Pulisic, yeah, same thing.
Well, yeah, same with Pulisic, yeah.
Like for like.
Obviously, Sarge is a little bit different than Weah. He doesn't quite have the pace and the attack prowess with pace like that. But what Sargent can do is he can obviously lace it across too.
Yes.
His ability, his distribution with Norwich has improved vastly over this time since being there. And I feel like there were times where I was watching a bunch of the games and I'm going, is he the only guy that can lace a 40-yard pass to change the point of attack?
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite fascinating.
He was.
So yeah,
he's Sargent's 2-footed as well.
Yeah.
So he could cut in and hit a blast with his left. He's been known to do that. So I think he can play with both feet. I think you're underestimating Sargent's speed. I think he's actually pretty fast.
I'm not discrediting him. I'm just saying he's not way fast.
Yeah, Weah's pretty fast.
He's
I don't think he's way fast, but he's pretty fast. So that is Sargent. So
yeah.
All right, what else we got? Matt Turner admitted his error against. Did you see that, by the way? Did you see multiple errors actually by Matt Turner against Man United, but rebounded in a big way to help Nottingham Forest earn a crucial win? Yeah, he made 2 saves after that I thought. Well, one of them was a save, and the other one was cutting off across. That was really important. And he was really happy after the game. But unfortunately for him, the news is spreading fast. Nottingham Forest are looking for a new keeper in the window. So
Good
I don't know.
Lord. They spend all that money to bring in Turner. They're spending the money to bring in the
Vladimikos or whatever his name.
Yeah.
Vlad.
And they're gonna waste more money.
Vlakamilis.
And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Turner has been great recently. Definitely.
Well, I think the problem is they had Naylor last year. They had Navas, right?
Yeah.
So if they're looking for that kind of standard,
good luck,
because he's one of the best goalkeepers on the planet.
Here's the thing. Maybe you don't ask Turner to play a style that doesn't play. He doesn't play. He's not great with his feet. He's improved a little bit, but he's not great with his feet.
They're not.
Stop. Okay, I'm just saying. I mean, the errors that I've seen have always been them playing it back to him, and he's trying to play it out.
Well, yeah, but you expect the keeper to be able to blast one out.
Sure, he could have blasted that. But it looks like he was trying to play it out the back.
Well, that was the second mistake. The first one, which he recovered, was just a simple back pass, and he tried to clear it. And I don't know if the ball took a little dribble or whatever, but he literally booted it above his head about 50 yards into the air. And then he had to go catch it after that because the ball went so high up above his head because he basically almost whiffed it that there was a player coming at him, Man U player coming at him. So he had to go up and jump and catch the ball that he had mishit that badly that it was still underneath him. That's crazy. That's crazy, Brett.
I guess I haven't really thought about this, but if a miss hit like that, let's say he skyrockets at that point, and a player had passed it back to him, at that point, can he, in fact, pick it up?
He can because there was a Man U player coming for the ball. I think that and also I don't think you can pass to passing to yourself isn't really considered because the keeper can. Yeah, so, I think he's fine.
So here's what happens. Your defender kicks it to you. You do a little flick kick and kick it up about 20 yards up in the air, and then you catch the ball. Now all of a sudden you have the ball in your hands.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, that can't be right.
Well, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't. He didn't
there
do it.
Maybe that's the case.
Yeah, no, that is the case. Like you'll see this all the time where a defender will be trying to stop a shot or something. It comes off of his foot and it rolls to the keeper. And the keeper picks it up because he wasn't trying to pass it. It wasn't an intentional.
I understand that, but I mean, if it's a self-inflicted wound, I don't know.
No, it was certainly self-inflicted, dude. That ball skyrocketed into the air. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out.
Oh my god!
And then he had to go, and they had this massive backspin going in the air, so you could see the ball spinning. And then he had to go up and go get it. And then by that time, he had a Man U guy in his face and one of his own teammates right underneath him who was like panicking, like, what the fuck did you just do? So there was that mistake. And then the horrible pass. Like it's very obvious that Nottingham Forest are not asking him to play out of the back. Basically, most of the time when they pass it back to him, he blasts it. So they've given up on playing out of the back, which is probably smart anyhow because Nottingham Forest doesn't have the players in the back to play out of the back. So there you go. Gabriel Fernandez, red cards. Are we worried about our goalkeepers? We seem to be really shaky right now with our goalkeepers. So I'm very concerned.
I mean, we're sitting here talking about Turner's shaken confidence. Who knows? Maybe after the win, maybe he'll get a boost a little bit here, even though he did flub up a couple.
It's our weakest position, Brad.
After that, what do we have? We have a fourth option for Nottingham Forest that we'll never see playing time.
Horvath
him and Stefan might end up in MLS this winter.
Oh yeah, I think they will. I think both of them will. So you're going to have Horvath and Stefan come back, and then the only keepers you have overseas are youngsters like Borto and Cochin and Slonina, kids. These are kids.
Of the people you mentioned, Slonina's actually playing, but still, would you feel confident with him in between the pipes right now?
I really
We're going in the Copa. Turner gets injured. Are we starting Gaga?
I would feel more comfortable starting Turner.
I'm saying if Turner got
but I do understand. More comfortable doesn't mean that I feel totally at ease with anybody right now because I don't. And Gabriel's completely right. It is the shakiest spot we've got, which is so weird because at one point we had Friedel, Keller, Hanneman, and we had one other guy playing in Europe too. There was 4. We were 4 deep at one point, and now we are not deep at all. Like keeper was always a position we didn't worry about. We just didn't worry. Howard. Yeah. I'm sorry, Howard, Keller, Friedel, and Hanneman were all playing in the Premier League at one point at the same time.
But we're talking about completely different beasts when we talk about them compared to our keepers of now. Not necessarily per se shot stopping and all that stuff, but just the mentality that's required. Turner kind of showed it initially, but maybe it's getting shaken, and maybe he's going to falter, and maybe he's going to bounce back 10 less. Who knows?
Dude, you can see it in Turner's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, Horvath, who hasn't really been a consistent. I mean, he started last season on loan, of course, but prior to that, he's been a second man his entire career. Stefan was a second man at Man City for a giant chunk of his career. He did
was a starter in Germany.
He did go out on loan to Germany, yes, and he played at Columbus, yes. But we're talking about a player. I mean, when you talk about Freeland, you talk about Keller, and you talk about Howard and Hammerman.
20% of the goalkeepers in the Premier League at one point were American. 20%.
I mean, the mental aspect of the game is night and day when we talk about our goalkeepers now to them now.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine? I'm not saying that any of them were like, they're definitely not going to be winning any juggling contests by any means. But I mean, could you imagine any of those guys being that flustered, being that mentally like they're going into every match? All right, let's roll. Like they're there.
Yeah. Well, to be fair as well, none of those guys that we mentioned, Hanneman, Keller, Friedel, and Howard, were ever asked to play with their feet.
And yes, we talked about this with the changing of the game and how things have altered. When we do this comparison, it is a different game.
It is. It's a totally different game.
It would be. I think. I think those players would adjust a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but I don't think any of them would have been sweeper keeper material.
Okay.
But that is just what every goalkeeper is asked to do, and you're asking a guy like Turner who just picked up soccer, in his.
He was 16, I think. 14 or 16, something like that. Yeah.
Late teens to all of a sudden have great feet.
The fact that he has the feet that he has is fascinating enough.
It's amazing because, that's amazing. He's as good as he is with his feet, frankly, and it's not that good. So we'll see. Its confidence is a big part of it too. But if he does lose his job, his confidence is going to drop like a rock, and that's going to be worse. Because not playing for Arsenal, playing as a number 2 for Arsenal is one thing. Playing as a number 2 for Nottingham Forest, that's embarrassing. So
here's my question. Why don't these goalkeepers just get out of the Premier? Why don't they just bounce out of England soccer altogether and then go somewhere else, maybe a lesser league? Go play in Belgium. Go play. I mean, I know Horvath's already tried that.
But that's the thing, Brett. Even in Belgium, the keepers, if you watch those games with Genk, they're all asked to play out of the back too. Not every one of the teams, but a lot of them expect their keeper to have good feet.
But the quality dips, and you're looking at different tactics compared to the quality that's in EPL in that sense.
Well, that's true. I think Matt Turner could be a star in Belgium or Holland. But they might still ask him, depending on what team you're playing on in Holland, for instance. If you're playing with PSV, they're going to expect the goalkeeper to have some good feet. So anyhow, it's just, as we said, the evolution of the game. It's changed. Everybody's got to be a sweeper keeper now. And that's, I mean, I'm with Casey Keller. I agree. My first priority with my keeper is, can he save a shot? I don't care if he can use his feet. That's secondary to me. But now you're expected to be the total package. So there you go.
Yep.
All right, where are we at?
What are the Yanks Abroad you want to cover real quick? Because at this point, we're going to branch into our actual topic.
Yeah, we already talked about a lot of them, actually. We already talked about Wright. But Reggie Cannon did go 90 in a tie for QPR. Kelman didn't play for QPR. He's a striker, by the way, if you don't know him. And you're just watching this show for the first time. Josh Sargent, we talked about. Dwayne Holmes went 57 in a loss for Preston North End. And Lyndon Gooch he's re-injured, so he wasn't even on the roster. Pulisic went 90, had a goal, the game-winning goal, and a win for AC Milan. It was a good goal. Again, I really, really am frustrated watching Leao. I really am, because he's such a fucking selfish prick. A guy with extreme talent, but he's so selfish. He never lifts his head and looks for anybody else. He tries to take on the whole team by himself sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's frustrating to watch.
I thought I saw a tweet from some mainstream media pundit in Europe talking about how Leao needed to get a little more greedy because he doesn't have quite the stats that other players in Syria have at this point.
What a joke.
Then us there going like
more greedy? He's about as greedy. He's just as greedy as Chuck Wazy is. Yeah, but he's a better player than Chuck Wazy. I remember they were like, "Oh no way, Pulisic, don't go to AC Milan. You'll never start over Chuck Wazy." Chuck Wazy's been garbage, hot fucking garbage this season. I know he got those goals, but he's been hot garbage. I'm sorry. Every time he plays, outside of the goals that he scores, which I know is his job, he's a horrible player out wide. I know he was good where he was before, but he ain't been good at AC Milan so far. Leao did an interview where he said he didn't want to be selfish, implying he's not selfish. He didn't want to be selfish, but he is. Or he's just an idiot, because there were guys open on multiple of his runs down the side, and he never lifted his head and never found anybody. Most of his crosses are clueless crosses, except for one, which nobody was on the back of. That wasn't his fault. But a lot of times, instead of looking for a pass, he just tries to dribble through the whole team. So, no, not as greedy as Rashica, though. Rashica's like at an all-time, like the biggest douchebag that ever played soccer. Like, literally, Rashica's the biggest douchebag. Can somebody tell me where he's at now?
He went to Turkey for a bit.
Well, that's good because he is a turkey. It's where he belongs.
It was funny because I'm not a Norwich fan. I will root for them because Sargent's on the pitch, but that has to be one of the only times I have ever cheered on the transfer of a player.
Yes.
Of a club that I don't care about outside of the Yanks playing. Like,
exactly.
Get him out of here! Fuck yeah!
I think it was funny when we have to go back and check out the show, but I remember when they signed him along with Sargent.
Yep.
And I said right then, yeah, I don't like that Rashica signing because that is the most selfish fucking prick ever. It's not going to turn out good.
Yeah, Sargent could have doubled his goal tallies, and maybe Brennan stayed up if Rashica got the ball with his fucking foot.
Yeah, I wonder if Rashica, he's at Besiktas. I wonder how much he plays because he's such a greedy fuck. Like, I would hate to play with him as a teammate. It's like, I'm wide open, and you're just going to fucking take it and shoot it. Shoot it. And you know it's getting blocked, dude. You got 4 guys in front of you. But you go ahead and do that again. Yeah, fucking greedy prick. All right. Chris Richards, another 90 at central defensive midfield, and a win for Crystal Palace. Again.
Hoorah.
Doing his job, basically. That's what he's doing. He knows what his role is. He plays his role. He's a destroyer / space killer and in the middle of the park, and he protects the back line, and he's doing that well. Now, a lot of people saying, well, he should be Adams' backup. Okay, that's fine. I'm all right if you want to say that. But we don't even know at this point if we're going to be playing a CDM going forward. If we play a double pivot, we are not going to be playing a CDM. So we already had this discussion.
We talked about this as far as, well, who we're gonna really start and play at center back and then use his depth at that point. We already have Maloney, who plays Adams' backup in a league that's a little bit less than where Richards is at now, but he's still playing in a top league, playing that legit role. So we need to have Richards in that role.
No, we need Richards as a center back.
Yeah,
let's be really honest here. He should be our starting center back next to Ream. And I would
when healthy and playing, of course.
Right. And then you could say, oh, well, what about CCV? Well, let's see what CCV does. Like whenever he's played for us, he's been very competent. I agree. But I'd like to see CCV challenge himself a little more at this point. He's probably not going to leave this winter transfer window, but after this window's over and we come to the next summer transfer window, I would like to see CCV move his ass elsewhere.
Didn't Celtic literally just buy him though? Like, isn't this like his first full season as a non-loaned player?
Could be.
I was sitting there going like, we were talking about his potential other loan options, and all of a sudden Celtic, I thought bought him out for like 8 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Could be his second season there as a signed player.
I mean, a healthy bid would have to come in that case.
It would have to be healthy, and that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you have plenty of lower, like for Christ's sake, Luton could use a center back right now. They certainly could. Sheffield United could use a spare center back, play alongside Trusty maybe. I mean, there's some teams at the bottom in the Premier League that are just wretched when it comes to defense. They're awful. So, and then we had Trusty going 90 and a loss. We already talked about Turner and McKennie and Weah and Jedi. And then CCV did not start for Celtic. He has a knock. And Polvara went 30 for Aberdeen and a loss.
Here we go. BMR says Celtic bought him in 2022. So 2022, 2023, this is his second season.
Okay, so second season it is. Okay. So that's it. So rather than push any more custard up a hill with a fork, let's move on to the next topic.
Before we get into the actual players ready to go to Europe, I wanted to bring up one thing. I know Bundesliga didn't play and Brooks didn't play, but I do have a clip from Jesse Marsh.
Oh yeah, Jesse Marsh
talking about Brooks. So
when does their show start? Because I haven't seen it anywhere.
It's been. I mean, this is like at least the second clip, third clip that I pulled up in the show.
What's it called again? What you want or something like that?
Yeah, hang on real quick, Derek. I got an injured kid here.
Okay. I looked it up and I couldn't find it. Believes and explains why the center back is needed for Copa America. I can't really remember what he was talking about there. I'm going to open up comments so I can see what you guys are saying. While Brett is gone, I usually don't do that. So if you want to hit me with something while Brett is gone, I guess his kid pooped his pants or whatever, let me know. BMR says, before we worry about Stefan being in the conversation again, he has to get healthy and play. Yeah, absolutely, BMR. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, Charlie has no clue what to do. You're probably talking about Charlie Davies. I don't know what you're saying there. You guys are actually talking amongst yourselves, which is fine. But let's just, again, consider where Stefan is and where he was. And I know some people are going to defend his season at Middlesbrough and say, well, Middlesbrough, they were in the playoffs to get promoted, but it wasn't because of him. I mean, he had some significant bumps in the road in that season with Middlesbrough. I'm not saying it was all out shit, because it wasn't. He had some really good games too. So Stefan didn't play when healthy. He did for Middlesbrough, and he played the whole season for the most part. Chuckwagon is delusional, still living in 06. What did Chuckwagon say? I must have missed that in the comments. Derek, do you think anyone in the pool is close to saying to play Miles and Brooks at CB? Oh, okay. He had no idea what to say about Marsh saying that Miles and Brooks at CB. So Marsh couldn't have been any more right and any more wrong. Now I remember this clip, because he's like, hey, we need to bring Brooks back. That is absolutely true. Brooks, I think if Ream's getting older like he's going to be, Brooks is going to be much younger than Ream, and he does all the things that Ream can do, which is switch fields, play with his left foot, and we need that. So Marsh is right here, but what Marsh may not know, and he may know, I don't know if he knows or not, but Berhalter doesn't like Brooks. There's a personal fucking problem going on there. And we have outlined it here for almost 2 years, Brett. 2 years? How long have we been talking? Since we talked with Meg, and since I got leaked a bunch of stuff from another guy, I'm not allowed to say his name. Okay? I can't hear you, Brett. You're muted. There you
go. So, I think what he's doing here, we'll play here in a sec, but I think what he's doing here is basically saying that, without saying that if he was manager, that he'd be bringing Brooks back into the fold.
And that would be great, but Miles, I can live without.
All right, let's listen to this.
How can he be so wrong and so right at the same time? That's because that's what he is right here.
I think that this tournament has to be used as preparation for the World Cup. And as much as we all like Tim Ream and know that he's been a massively important player in the last years, I think we have to be moving on. Is he on the roster for the tournament? Yeah, possibly. But if we're going to continue to play him and think that that's the guy that's going to continue to lead us moving forward, then we're going to set ourselves up for failures.
I don't disagree with him, but I also think that at this point you play the players who are playing well.
Yeah, I think so.
Ream's injured, of course, but if you were playing for Fulham and playing well, you continue to call him up. And then what you do is you bring in backups who can replace him in the games. And then if there comes a point where Ream's ancient limbs and his joints break on him, we have somebody who's ready to roll.
Can I say this? I'll add this.
You may.
Since Ream has been gone, the two Fulham center backs, they're looking really, 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 really good without Tim Ream.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that Ream won't get a spot back, but he might have to battle for it to get that spot back because.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then we're looking at a starting lineup that's going to have a Richards and probably a CCV lineup, and then Ream may not necessarily start.
That's a scary lineup to me. That's a young kid, Richards, who's just starting to play big time ball, and CCV.
Okay, he's had 2 seasons at Hoffenheim, so I mean he has that under his belt. He's just now starting with Palace.
Yeah, but okay. I'm sorry. I think Richards still has a lot to go. He has a high ceiling. He's got a lot of growth still to do, and you're asking him to steward the back line with another guy who's been playing in the Scottish Premier League? Well, that worries me. I want Brooks.
Okay, well, we're not playing in a fairy tale land here, Derek. Brooks.
I know, but I'm with Marsh here. It's what I'm saying.
Sure, and I agree with Marsh too. So I'm just saying what Berhalter might do, and he might still play Ream even if Ream's not playing at that point. But he's a healthy practice. Maybe he plays him regardless. But
you know what? If Berhalter ever grows up and somehow figures out to give Brooks a phone call and they work this shit out, and he's a real man who knows how to fucking deal with human beings that he has conflict with, like a real leader would do. You know how he's into leadership, Berhalter? This is a way to really show that you're a leader. You call the guy you had conflict with and you talk it out with him. And you work out how he can come back to the team. That's what a real leader does.
I'm going to pause you real quick. I left my freezer doors open still. I had to go get an ice pack for Jack. I need to go close that real quick. I hear beeping on me. Continue about real leader and how you attend an immoral conference to learn how to become a real leader. Okay?
Well, while you're gone, I'm just going to talk about vaginas. You go do what you got to do.
You do that. You do.
So that's what a real leader would do. He would call up John Brooks and he'd work it out. That shouldn't be that hard. But for a guy like Berhalter, who is conflict adverse, a guy who doesn't like anything or anyone to, throw marbles on his floor that he might have to navigate, or somebody who might be a leader, as John Brooks was certainly as a senior guy on the team, considered one of the leaders of the team. You don't want to deal with that. So he'd rather get rid of that. He doesn't have anyone that he needs to compete with as far as leadership goes. That's why he won't name a captain for them for so long. Berhalter didn't like the idea of anyone but him being a leader. That's why he passed around the captain's band constantly. because he's uncomfortable with that. And he doesn't have the fucking ball sack. That's the real issue here to make up with Brooks. But maybe these comments by Marsh might spur on a coward like Berhalter to pick up the phone and call Brooks. Maybe. I don't know. I doubt it.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, what's nice about this is this is a different approach compared to our mainstream media, who is just like, well, have you reached out to Brooks? Well, he's doing well there, blah, blah. Nobody pushes back on it. Here you have somebody who was really potentially competing for the job you got back this cycle, saying, hey, this is what I would be doing at this point. You know? Maybe that would spur on, well, maybe I need to change how I approach this.
Yeah, and by the way, nobody in the fucking media, the mainstream media, has ever asked anything beyond, hey, how come Brooks wasn't called up? And then they get a silly answer. And they don't ever ask, so when's the last time you talked to him, though? When's the last time you had communication with John Brooks? Why doesn't anybody with fucking hairs on their fucking vagina or their nutsack or the vaginal area ask that question? I don't think there are many women, though. I don't think Meg ever gets the chance to ask any questions anymore. I mean, on occasion, because I think she might ask that question.
In a while. Yeah, I think she's had like 2 questions in the presses that I've watched.
Yeah, Meg might ask that question, but nobody else will. Nobody else has the balls to dig that deep. Nobody out there. And of course, Pete said all those too, but they never let Pete actually ask a question. And then we got our other media guy friend that never gets to ask a question because he wrote some fucking article about U.S. soccer and the drop in the number of people buying tickets for U.S. soccer. So then he was sort of, he was banned from asking questions too. So you can't criticize U.S. soccer or fucking Greg Berhalter. And if you do, you might get invited to a game, all right, in Austin, Texas. But other than that, they don't really want you around. So, all right. So go ahead, Jesse.
Tim, sorry, and I love you, brother, but I think it's time to move on. But I still think we need to have some level of experience and
real quickly though, that's the same mentality that Berhalter had with Ream as well. Hey Ream, this is how we're going to be playing. Sorry, buddy, I love you, but we're moving on. And then what happens is, your golden boy busts his ankle or knee or whatever it was, and he's reliant and he has to rely on calling on a player that he basically told that he wasn't going to call back up.
Yep, he had told Ream that you are unnecessary for this team. You can't play a high line. You're not going to play on this team. Right before the World Cup, having not gotten a call for some time. And Ream says this in the interview.
All qualifying, yeah.
Ream says it in the interview. He's like, yeah, all of a sudden I got this call from Berhalter and he wanted me to be on the U.S. men's national team. And I was like, really? Seriously? What? Are you kidding? Or is this a sick joke? Yeah. Or like, that's how bad the communication is. That's how far Berhalter had fucked off on Tim Ream. He just fucked off on him. He said, fuck that guy. Didn't call him, didn't. And then that's why Tim Ream was shocked he was called up. That's poor leadership. That's a guy playing in the fucking Premier League and starting every game, and you're not giving him a call. You're not figuring out a way you might be able to use him on the pitch, and then magically you just decide right before the World Cup that he's useful, and you didn't see that he was useful before that? Like, how dumb do you have to be? Do I have to give you credit for coming to the right conclusion right before the World Cup? I guess I got to give you some credit to Greg for figuring it out eventually. But how fucking far up your ass does your head need to be jammed to wait that long to figure out, we need somebody who can switch fields playing out of the back, somebody who can pass, playing at center back next to this guy Zimmerman, whose cockeye suck on a nightly basis, at least in my mind, because I love me some Zimmerman. That's where we're at. Oh God!
I don't know, but that all echoes the words that I just heard coming out of Marsh's mouth in the sense, like, yeah, I'm telling Ream he's got to hang up his boots. Sorry, we don't need you anymore. Well, until an injury occurs, and then all of a sudden you're reliant on having to go back to him. But here's the brilliant concept. You don't tell somebody, oh, we're done with you. What you do is maybe this window we're bringing in Richards and CCV, and they're going to be our starting ones. Maybe Ream's off the bench. maybe Ream's not even called in, but he's still incorporated with the whole system. And you start working players into these roles. You don't just throw them. You don't thrust them. It's not just, flash sale of, hey, this player's got to go. That player's got to stay,
Right. No, I mean, in this case, what would be smart is next camp, full camp, you bring in Ream and you bring Brooks, 2 left-footed guys.
What?
And then
No!
you bring Richards and CCV who can play the other center back spot. You've got all spots covered with 4 guys. And if you have to slowly ease Brooks back into the family, that's what you do. But you got to have a backup for goddamn fucking damn Ream, because you can say it all you want. Nobody, and I heard somebody say, oh, Richards can make those passes. No, he can't. No, he can't. He cannot make bomb, long-range, fucking switching field passes like Reams or Brooks on a consistent fucking basis, nor can CCV. I'm sorry. I've watched them play 1,000 times. I've watched Richards and Ream play right next to each other for game after game after game. Who is the guy responsible for switching fields and switching the field so we can attack from an unlikely wing? Ream. They literally feed the ball to Ream. It's all Ream. Hell, Ream, you have the ball. CCV says, here, Ream, you have the ball. Zimmerman says, oh, you have the ball, Ream. I'm just here to fill space. Richards is good at through passes. So is CCV. They're both good at through passes, but they're not good at switching fields. That is a particular skill that only Brooks and Ream have on this fucking team at center back right now. Nobody else can do it. So if you're going to get rid of Ream or Ream falls ill, you need somebody there to back his ass up. And right now that is fucking John goddamn Brooks. And at least Marsh is smart enough to realize that Ream may not last till the next World Cup. So you might as well start thinking about somebody else right now. Mm-hmm. And he's right to at least consider it. But I'm also with you, Brett. Until fucking Ream falls off the horse and breaks his leg and can no longer function, there are center backs who can play until their late 30s. We've all seen them do it. And that's about being wise. And if he can pull it off, there's no reason to yank him. So you bring them both. You bring Ream and you bring Brooks. Both.
And by the time you get to the point where his legs do give out on him, you have a viable backup, and then you're starting to look at who's going to play as his backup now.
Right.
You don't just say, you might still be there come 2026, but we're just going to move on without you. You don't say a goddamn word. You just start bringing in the players that are going to suit your team at that point.
But honestly, we all know the real answer. And if I'm ever wrong, and Berhalter does become a real man and a real leader instead of being a shrinking little pussy violet, I was going to call him a vagina there, a pussy vagina, which would have been redundant and overly vulgar. And there's actually that's an offense to vaginas everywhere. If he ever becomes a real leader and Brooks shows up, I will have to give him credit for suddenly, but it's like saying I'm giving him credit for calling up fucking Ream at the last second. What took you so long, you fucking idiot? That would be my point. Hey, glad you did it, but what fucking took you so long would be my response. I'm not eating crow for that, Brett. I'm not eating crow for that. If he calls up Brooks, I'm not eating crow, because that's him finally standing up and being a real fucking human being with a pair of fucking testicles. All right, moving on.
Okay. And now know-how of what these games are about, and somebody who's playing at a high level. And if you now talk about the left center back, for me, that's John Brooks. Wow. Okay? And I know that him and Berhalter aren't on the best terms, and that John Brooks hasn't always performed at the highest level
That was a telling point right there, because he says the same thing that we say, but nobody in the media says this.
Yes.
I know him and Berhalter are not on the best of terms.
Correct.
Nobody says that.
Nobody says it. Well, they all know it.
Yeah.
Because even the guys in the background was that Davey saying, oh, wow, that's controversial. Everybody knows this, but guess who reported it? We did. We were the first ones to fucking report it, and we never get any goddamn credit for it either. And then that fucking pisses me off, because we were the ones who reported that. We gave you that information. But, those guys don't have to give us credit. They can just all pretend that it came from a goddamn black hole somewhere, and that's fine. It just fell out of the sky. That's where that information came from. It fell out of the sky. But, okay, now everybody knows about it. Everyone knows. Okay, well, how did you know? But now it's controversial. Okay, well, at least we're admitting that, and Marsh knows it too. This is a good step forward because he just said the quiet part out loud, and nobody said it. Nobody said it that blatantly yet.
How often did we say this when we were talking about this new lineup on Jimmy's show, and going, man, I feel like how long until Marsh says something that he probably shouldn't have said?
Yes,
we're edging in there right now.
Yeah, I like it
slightly.
I like the prickliness. Yeah, Meg needs to get credit too. I'm not just saying us.
Oh yeah, we always make credit. Like she's the one who.
And I mentioned Meg earlier, but I want to re-mention her.
Her and Brian, yeah.
Right, because Meg's really the one who kind of leaked it to us in a very subtle way, and we kind of took the ball, rolled it up, made a few more calls, and figured some more stuff out. So anyhow, there you go.
All right.
The national team, but if you watch him now play for Hoffenheim, and it's funny, we haven't yet spoken about Reno Pellegrino on this podcast yet. And what a good coach he is. He's doing an amazing job at Hoffenheim. So he plays for a good coach. He's playing at a high level in the Bundesliga. Hoffenheim's having a very good season. John Brooks has played almost every single match and played very well. I think that it's time to bring him back in the mix and now make him a big centerpiece for what we're doing defensively within the team. And I think that the next...
Amen, Jesse.
I was just saying, because he's like, we didn't talk about Pellegrino. I'm like, we do. We've talked about
him.
We
talk about him all the time, yeah. Pellegrino Matarazzo. He didn't even get his name right. He called him like Rhino or Reno, something like that. I don't even know what he said. Maybe that's his nickname. I don't know.
Bianmar caught it as well, apparently.
Reno Pellegrino. Yeah. I have my comments on, by the way. I'm going to turn them off, but I had them on while you were gone.
Yeah, that's fair. Makes sense to fill in the space.
All right.
Yeah, continuing.
The next level of high potential player that we have in that position is Miles Robinson. We'll see what happens with him, exactly where he goes and where he winds up playing. But for me, we have to not and keeping Miles healthy is really important. But when you talk about a pairing that is experience and youth and physically strong, good with the ball, good against the ball, these are the two guys that
Miles Robinson's not good with the ball. I mean, he's good
he's got recovery pace.
He can pass it sideways like any Nimrod.
He has Zimmerman. Recovery pace.
And he's got pace. Yes, that's it.
That's what makes him stand out. He's got recovery pace.
You know who else has pace? Richards. And you know who else can actually make a through pass? Richards. Why are we talking about Miles Robinson, Marsh? Come on, dude.
He's played for the United States national team for the last year or two, and before he got injured. I guess he's on everybody's mind.
Man, I don't know. He's been huffing too much paint for this show. Go ahead. Like that's
I
why he's
envision
half
as
right.
The future of what can be the potential of this team, the foundation defensively of what we can become. So, and you have to start to invest now.
Real quickly, not saying that his Marsh's defensive ability or understanding has been on center screen. I mean, he's coached a team in Austria that was the top team. Okay, sure. But at Leipzig, his defense wasn't great. At Leeds, his defense wasn't great.
Yeah. I don't think he's the best judge of who's a good center back at this point. And I don't know what he's watching. He's right about Brooks, but he couldn't be more wrong about Miles. Miles just had one of the worst seasons he's ever had in MLS. I don't know.
That's the only way. So I don't know. I don't know where John Brooks is with playing for the national team. I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
He wants to play. He's been saying this for the last year and a half.
Fuck yeah. And you know what? He's been such a good trooper about it too. Brooks hasn't said a fucking negative word about Greg. Even when it looked like Greg wasn't coming back, he didn't. He was smart. Kept his fucking mouth shut. And,
wasn't Miazga?
Think that'd be Miazga didn't keep his mouth shut. No. He's like, hey, me and fucking Greg, we nearly, went scraps or whatever. We didn't get along.
We didn't see eye to eye.
We didn't see eye to eye, right? Which means they had some verbal pugilism going on there. All right, pugilism.
There you go.
It's boxing, by the way.
Just because we're covering it, might as well cover the nitty gritty of it all.
Hi, I'm new to Brooks and Berhalter topic. Did Brooks openly challenge the coach in the locker room in front of the team? Thanks. I wouldn't say challenge. I mean, you could call it a challenge, but let's just say when he was yanked off at halftime against Honduras, he flew off the handle a bit and was pretty goddamn upset to being singled out for poor play at halftime versus Honduras and yanked from the starting 11 or yanked from the lineup, and replaced as if it was all his fault, which I don't think it was all his fault.
We went over the line. We went over the lineup. It wasn't just his fault. And there may or may not have been a shoe thrown.
Their shit was thrown. Something was thrown. And yes, Brooks was extremely pissed for being yanked and singled out like that. But you know what you do? When the fucking dust is settled, you sit Brooks down and say, hey, dude, listen, I know you really want to be out there, and I know you didn't agree with my decision. But going forward, we can't have outbursts like that. And if we do, and we have a disagreement, it needs to be between you and me. And that happens after the game's over when you and me can sit down. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you don't totally pussy out like Berhalter did and leave Brooks off for the rest of his career, which is such a waste. Such a fucking waste. So that's a summary. There's a lot more to it. We've talked about it here on End about other details that Meg provided us. We've talked, but we're not going to get into that. I'm just giving you an overview so you can catch up with what happened there. All right. That's it with Jesse, right?
There's like 20 seconds left. It wasn't necessary to talk about. Right. We're going to go ahead and jump into our topic of U.S. players, and are they really ready to go to Europe?
So we can open this to the chat as well. Like, we've talked about some of them here. If you want to know if we think your favorite player is going to have the tools to make it, let's say, in the top 6 leagues, which is, let's do Germany, England. We'll do even more of that. Germany, England, France, Spain, Italy, championship. I'll give you championship. Holland. So there's 7. Players able to, because, I mean, listen, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can go to Belgium. And a lot of Tom, Dick, and Harrys can probably actually go to lower teams in Holland. I mean, we're seeing it. Like, no one really suspected that the other Booth brother would be able to make it in Europe, and he's doing fine at Volendam.
I just think nobody, for the most part, most people never even heard of the other Booth brother until he moved to Holland.
Right. Zach Booth was like, who? What?
Yeah. He played for Leicester, what?
Right. And we've got other guys playing in Belgium that nobody's heard about, too. At St. Truden, we had a striker playing there who just got injured, but was starting and scoring for St. Truden. So in Belgium. So I don't know. I don't know where you want us to cut this off at, but I can tell you, if you name a player, what level I think he's at. But we'll start here with Cranks. Chris Brady in the top 3 most promising U21 keepers. Another one who has to be in January camp. Yeah, but January camp. Shit, any Tom, Dick, and Harry could make that too. I would just like to see the Olympic team mostly be the focus.
And that's what I was going to say. With bringing the Olympic coach into the fold for that camp, one would imagine that it's going to be more or less an Olympic roster. Now, with some veterans, I'm sure, in there somewhere. But
so we'll start with Vasquez.
We're already talking about Brady. Let's talk about Brady.
I mean, I don't know. If he's too young, he'll end up in like Belgium at a team like Eupen, right?
To make this topic a little quicker in this sense is that I don't think he's ready.
No.
He's had 1 season under his belt, and I think he would be better off to get another season or 2 at minimum.
It's Chicago. Why would they let go of him? Because they've already let go of Slanina.
Yeah.
Now they're going to let go of Brady too? I don't think so.
We'll take much of this right here.
And let's be really honest. Chicago are a totally dysfunctional organization. They're going to bring back the same fucking coach they had.
Front office
is a shit. And then who's your manager again? The same fucking Klopas is the same dude. What are they doing? And then you rehired the same guy in the front office who's been a failure for 4 seasons. Your team is fucking shit, Brett. It's garbage. It's a bucket full of fucking horse manure. And why a guy like Brian Gutierrez is going to stick around in that hellhole is beyond me. What a horrible decision. He is a kid that could play in Europe.
So I will say the team as a whole, despite the dysfunctionality of the club itself, still managed to be a contender for a playoff spot. Now,
God.
We're still middle.
On. Dude, you're a major market team in this league, and you suck, and you never make the playoffs.
There. You missed my point. Despite the fact that the team itself is fine, the organization is the problem. And despite the organization being the problem, we still manage to be a mid-table team that just misses every fucking year playoffs. So if we manage to get a front office that's worthwhile and a coach that's worthwhile, that can utilize the resources that's being provided to the club, we'd see something better.
Your team is good. I don't think your team.
The team is fine. The team is fine. The team can easily make the playoffs. It's just they don't.
It sounds like your son is about to die in the background there.
Yeah, he twisted his ankle.
He's like going, ow, ow, ow.
Ballerina dancing or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I hear a lot of ows in the background. Yeah. Ow, ow, no, ow, ow. Go ahead.
But yeah, no, it's my whole point to this really is that Brady's not going anywhere. He's going to be here for another 2 years. You brought up Guti. Let's talk about Guti. We've already talked about it beforehand. I think it was stupid for him to sign an extension to his contract. I know it's only 2 more years, but that means that he has at least another 2 years or 3 years before Chicago's even going to consider getting rid of him.
Yeah. But I understand Chicago wanting to sign him because if he does go away, they want to make money off of him. And that would probably go for Obed Vargas as well.
Tom, this is exactly what I did. I went up and got
Shut up.
I got ibuprofen. I gave him ice pack and I gave him a phone. He's watching his phone. It's just his foot hurts. So
okay, but he wants everyone to know it hurts.
Yeah.
All right. So Luna,
we're talking about you, buddy. Yeah, I'm saying your foot hurts. Everybody's twisted their ankle before and it sucks.
At least he didn't break his dick. All right. Yeah,
true,
it's that crooked thing that happens. All right, Luna. No, I think Luna's ready to go, but maybe another season in MLS would be helpful. I don't think he's really. I don't know.
Ready to go where though?
This is the first season like he's really stood out, right? For Salt Lake. So I'm kind of like, is he really ready to go? Is it too premature? Should he spend one more season in MLS? Yes. I think he should.
Yes.
I think he needs one more year. I need to see what he did in the playoffs again, and I need to see it for a whole season.
That's the key right there, the whole season.
Right. Tolkien.
Let me go through the chat a couple here.
Okay.
A couple people brought some people. I'm just trying to get up to the top here. So Digital says Vasquez.
Vasquez is going nowhere. And why?
I really want to know what your reason for it in this.
He's too expensive. If he goes somewhere, he's going to have to take a pay cut. Let's just put it down to that. If he's willing to take the pay cut, he will go somewhere.
I think every indication is that he will take the pay cut because he wants to go to Europe. Because he already knows at this point that he has no chance of cracking, especially with Sargent coming back and Haji on fire. He has no chance of cracking the U.S. men's national team. So unless he wants to be an MLS lifer for the rest of his career with no international concern outside of Gold Cups and maybe Camp Cupcakes, he's going to have to take that pay cut.
But he had such a fucking mediocre season. Why is anybody interested in him now? Like, he's had one good season in MLS. This season was not good. All right. And now the interest is waned. It's kind of gone. That's why I heard the Brentford thing. I'm like, oh my God, you got to be fucking stupid to believe that. He ain't going to Brentford. He ain't going anywhere in the Premier League. Maybe
the offers were still there in the summer. So clearly, I doubt that the rest of the season really waned on that the interest.
Okay,
I think there's still going to be teams that are interested. It's just it's going to have to be worthwhile.
Who?
I don't fucking know. I don't know who's looking at him.
Well, I can tell you there isn't much interest right now. And if there is, it's going to be at a very minimal price. But and how much of a paycheck is he willing to drop to? Because he had a poor season, Brett. And teams they keep some tabs, right? But they look at the season you had the season before, and then they look at the season you had this season, and they're like, whoa, what the fuck happened? That guy fell off the fucking cliff. Yet Cincy was still a really good team. In fact, they were a playoff team. In fact, they almost won the whole fucking thing. And this guy wasn't the major reason they did it anymore. What happened to this guy? So if he's going to go to Europe, he's going to end up in Belgium or a lower mid-table Holland team, but he ain't going even to the championship in my book at this point. I don't think
I think the people that are expressing interest see the attributes he brings. They saw the season before. They see that he partook in a championship type team season. May not have necessarily contributed in the goals and the assists in this situation, but we all know that stats don't paint the best picture. And I'm not saying he didn't.
It ain't just stats, Brett. He didn't play good.
Derek, do you think all these teams are watching every single game?
If you're going to sign a guy, you watch his film. You watch all his film.
I don't disagree that you watch the film. I'm just saying that I don't know. I think he's going to Europe. I think he will. Where he goes in Europe is up in the air. I don't even know who's interested in him, quite frankly. But I know there has been interest, has been offers. And since he said that they're gonna sell him if the offers come over the winter. So,
well, as far as playing the U.S. men's national team at this point, he's got about as much chance as the solo sperm that fertilizes an egg during pregnancies or to make a pregnancy, like 1 in a million. I'm sorry, there's too much other competition. But we'll see if you're right. I mean, okay, we'll see where he goes, but I think it's not going to be anywhere that impressive, and it ain't going to be the Premier League. I will guarantee you it is not one of the 5 major leagues. Guarantee you right now.
It's definitely not going to be Premier League.
Not going to be Spain, not going to be Italy, not going to be Germany at this point. They're done with him. I don't know where he's going to go. 2 Bundesliga, maybe. Championship, maybe. But
we'll see.
All right.
I don't know. I guess I don't know who's all interested in. That's not. I could throw random teams out there, and he's got the skill set and the presence to do well. But will he do well? Nobody knows.
Jack McGlynn, another guy like Luna, who needs to have a really great season with his club, and has yet to even become anything more than a rotational starter for.
The kid's got flashes. It's just putting it all together and doing it consistently is going to be an issue.
Mm-hmm. I think Jack McGlynn. I don't know what his ceiling is yet. I really can't. Even on the eye test, I see some wonderful things, but then I'm wondering, what about this part of his game? What about this part of his game? I haven't worked some of those parts out, like the mental part. I haven't worked that out. I don't know who Jack McGlynn is as a person. And believe me, knowing who someone is a person makes a fucking difference. That's how I knew McBride would succeed at Fulham. That's how I knew Dempsey was going to bust his fucking balls and succeed at Fulham, because I knew them as who they were as characters, people. Mm-hmm. I don't know Jack McGlynn's character. All I know is he starts 2 games, then he comes off the bench. Then he starts a game, then he comes off the bench. Then he doesn't start. Then he starts 2 games, and then it's just, I mean, he's not. If you're going to go to Europe and you're an American and you're playing in MLS, you need to be one of the best players in the league, i.e. Clint Dempsey, i.e. Landon Donovan. One of the guys that we look at and go, well, that's one of the best players in the league. He definitely should go. McGlynn ain't that. And Luna has shown moments of that for us, like in the playoffs, for real salt. Like you're like, he's the best player on the field. I've never watched a Philly game and said, McGlynn's the best player on this pitch. Never. Not once. Obed Vargas, again, I mean, he's kind of like in the same seat as Brian Gutierrez in many ways. He's a very promising young player. Although I think Guti, his eye test seems overall to be better. And I think it's sort of like, can we get a season where Obed Vargas is a starter every single game for Seattle, stays healthy, and just dominates he's obviously the best player on Seattle every single game we watch or next to one of the next best players on the team. When I start seeing that, then I say, there's a guy who can go to Europe. Could he go to Europe? Yeah, he could. He'd go play in Portugal or Belgium or Holland or Scotland. Shit, if Polvara can play in Scotland, fucking Obed Vargas can.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, Obed's, I think size is going to be a factor when it comes to playing in Scotland. But
is he a small guy?
Last I saw him,
I don't remember.
I thought he was small.
I don't remember. I haven't watched him for a while. I didn't catch a whole lot of Seattle. I caught like 4 Seattle games all season. I think Kellen Acosta really needs to move to a top 6 league. I think he probably needs to start thinking about retirement.
I think he needs to continue pushing that 6-figure or a 7-figure contract and continue trying to milk MLS for the remainder of his career, because he's definitely going to take a pay cut, and he stands little to no chance for the national team at this point.
Yeah, he needs to find the GAM or TAM cow and get it, pull up a seat and start milking it. Just milking the TAM and GAM, milking it right into the bucket. Caleb Wiley. I think he needs to go somewhere, but I don't think it's like England. I think that Germany somewhere, where he might go and start out as on the 2 team of, like, say, I don't know, you name a fucking Bundesliga team. I mean, pick one. Probably not going to be Dortmund, not going to be Bayern, but like Hoffenheim's not bad. Although that didn't always work out for some guys that went to Hoffenheim. It worked out okay for Richards, though. Certainly working out for Brooks right now. Hoffenheim is a good example of a team you could go to, and they'll ease you onto the team. But he needs to go somewhere, because Atlanta he's not gonna get much better playing in Atlanta.
No. Say go Holland and go the wingback route.
Right. I mean, if he waits too much longer, he's not gonna learn enough and grow enough as a player if he waits too long to go. So he needs to go. He could go. I think if Paredes can find some regular playing times on Wolfsburg, I think Wiley can too. And the fact that Wiley can play left back, again, that's a position of need for many clubs. I think there'll be clubs that are willing to take the chance on a left back or any back, right back or left back, because they're rare breeds. What about Cade Cowell? He ain't going to Everton. Can tell you that.
Yeah.
One-trick pony, Cade Cowell. We used to have another guy we used to call that. One-trick pony guy. He doesn't play. He's on a Mexican team now, American guy. Doesn't ever play or rarely plays. He's a one-trick pony. That's what Cade Cowell is. And Cade Cowell. Saucedo, thank you.
Okay, I was going to say, as I thought so familiar.
Yeah, Cade Cowell's a one-trick pony, and everybody knows what that trick is, which is why he doesn't score any goals in MLS. Everybody knows what his one trick is. And by the way, if he goes to Europe, everyone's going to know what his one trick is too. So he's going to have to learn more tricks.
He'll have to really focus on the pace and probably just maybe convert even a back at this point.
Yeah,
he's going to be a one-trick pony.
Malik Sanogo's already in Europe,
but to go to the top 5 league is what you were trying to.
No, he's wait and see.
He's with the 2 Bundesliga team right now.
Yeah.
So,
but it's not like he's burning up the charts.
Yeah, he's continue playing there, I think. And he's young. He's young. I mean, there's still hope that he might turn a promising option.
Sure.
But all we can go off of is his youth stats, the fact that he's in Germany and he's young. So maybe he'll pan out.
I mean, at the youth level, he was killing it.
Yeah.
But whenever he's been called up, anything higher than that, he is not impressed. And was anybody really had their fucking their dick knocked off when he played for our youth teams? With the US men's or youth?
No, when he was called in to camps, he wasn't that stellar.
Exactly. Yeah, he wasn't. He did not blow your mind. So there you go. Somebody said Sebastian Soto. I couldn't figure out how to turn my comments off. Yeah. Sebastian Soto is he needs surgery upstairs in the skull. he's so far gone. He can't play for a team nestled in a small village in the Alps.
Yeah.
So there you go. Boy, Jack Pineda throwing some way out there. Matteo Akinboni. You looking him up?
He plays for DC and he's on loan to Luton right now.
Luton?
Who? It's USL team.
Loudon.
Loudon.
Yeah, Loudon you meant. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were trying to say Luton. Listen, way too early to tell there, Jack. Way too early. But you know what? If you have a Euro passport and you are Akinboni, you leave as soon as you can. You get there when you're 16.
He's 17 right now, and he's center back.
You need to go as soon as possible. You're wasting the opportunity to grow.
But
I don't know what kind of passport he has.
U.S. Nigerian.
Yeah, he doesn't have one then. So he's stuck here until he's 18, which means he's not going to get the opportunity to, like Pulisic did, to grow up as a young teenager and learn so much, But so he's going to have to wait till he's 18. Maybe somebody takes a chance at him. Maybe he develops. Maybe he's not. But for a center back, 17 is a young age to make any predictions, so I can't.
Is a name I haven't heard of in a couple of years.
Jack McInerney. He played for us. He played for Indy 11. Remember?
Yeah.
Jack Mack.
He was big when he was with. I think he was with Philly at the time.
Man, he had that moment where that one season where he's scoring goals fucking left and right, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm up to U.S. men's national team." And I think he got one call up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
But then he faded into obscurity.
I take that back. He's only played for the U.S. No, I'm looking at a different guy. Never mind. Sorry, scratch that.
And then he played for us for 2 seasons at Indy 11. So we got a revisit from Jack Mack.
Jack Mack.
Ferreira to Napoli. That ain't happening ever.
Oh, sorry, not you, Jack.
And you know what, BMR? You know that. So you're just yanking tails out there. Trolling. DeJuan Jones. He's a back, and those are needed in Europe. I'd say he could go to Europe, and he could probably play in Holland somewhere. He could probably even play in the championship, no problem. Is he going to make that move? I don't know. Could he play in the championship? Yeah, I think he could.
He's like 26, 27, isn't he?
He's not young anymore. He's not
it's definitely a late transfer for a back.
Yeah, I think he's bound to, unfortunately, be stuck here in MLS. I think he's an MLS lifer.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Neal, boy, does he need to get out as soon as he can and get to Europe, somewhere where they're known for development.
Yep.
Whether it be Dortmund or I don't care where. But get out of LA. That would have. I'm busting your balls for Chicago, right? But my team is a fucking complete dumpster fire. The Galaxy are awful. They are a bucket of vomit. They are one of the worst teams in the league, and that's saying something. That's a massive fall from where they were before.
To the point with Jalen, though, I think he's good enough to go abroad. I don't think he's going to start.
Not right away.
He's
right.
young. He's like 18 years old, 19 or whatever.
Right.
And he's a center back. So, I mean, when he's played for the U.S., he's looked good. So I think he's got that going for him. I think he's definitely going to be on people's radars. It's just whether or not the teams abroad can get him for a good enough price. I mean, LA may look at that and go like, well, we're going to make bank on this. But he is a center back, so you're not going to make bank on it.
He's a teenager starting at center back in the MLS. Yeah. So he's obviously – there's something there.
Yeah.
Now, where he can take that, what his ceiling is, that's going to be up to him at this point. All right, you can stop putting up the fake ones. Aaron Long can play for my fucking nutsack. No, I'd cut him from that team too. All right.
Let's see here. Well, I guess we don't have to be just straight out MLS.
He's Brooks is a great player. He's got obviously a good ceiling, and he'll probably go somewhere else. He'll probably go leave his European domestic league and go somewhere else. We'll see where. A lot of people talking about him. Caden Clark is done.
Caden Clark is doing the exact opposite. He's leaving a top 5 league to come back to MLS.
Dude, he can't even play for the minnow team he was loaned out to. So
Denmark, was it?
Was somewhere in Scandinavia. But yeah, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. All right.
Yeah.
Johnny Cardoso is about to bust a nut right there in what is it, Real Sociedad?
But no, it's
Real Betis?
Betis.
No,
Yes, Betis.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's been reported by TAC for some time. So that deal is done. He's already there. He's already practicing, and he should get some playing time. I think he'll do fine. I think he will.
Let's see. I'm just scrolling through the last of the comments. If you want to bring somebody up that I haven't talked about yet, go for it.
Oh, I saw some other ones that flew by that you missed.
How about Justin Che?
Justin Che is in a world of hurt, Fumar. Yeah, in a real world of hurt. I mean, he went over there. Everybody thought he had the skills to pay the bills. Bayern thing, got the loan. That didn't work out. Didn't get any playing time. And now, oh, my God. Situation just got worse for him. So we'll see. I'm not giving up on him, but
it's the Julian Green effect, basically.
I don't know what it is with Che. Because listen, I knew he is kind of an arrogant little motherfucker. Because he used to always talk about when he got to Germany, he's like, "Hey man, I'm still open to play for the German national team." Remember when he said that to the media there?
Yeah.
And we're like, "Oh, come on, man! Don't start your shit off like that, talking shit." And then he did. He went over and talked some shit, some major fucking shit about how great he is and he can still play for the German national team. So he wanted them to keep looking at him. And now look at where you are, Justin Che. Dude, sometimes you walk the walk, but you don't talk the talk. And he did a lot of talking, and he ain't done enough walking. So, Derek, when is the next album? Not sure about that. As you know, there are technical reasons for this, that the release that came out in October got all fucked up because of some sort of technical issues. Anyhow, it's a fucking disaster. But we'll probably put one out in the next couple years or so.
I'm still waiting for the next release so that I can create a new outro.
I know.
Pay by my album type thing.
Yeah, we're getting fucked basically by YouTube, believe it or not.
It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, and it's called, it's a catalog number. And apparently YouTube has claimed our catalog number because we posted a music video up, and then they basically claimed the catalog number for the whole fucking album. And so now we can't put it on other platforms because it requires a catalog number. And they're like, that one's already taken. You have to have a new one. And we can't get a new one. Anyhow, it's real technical bullshit, but we're getting fucked by the industry. Anyhow, what else do you know? And I mean, that's just what happens. Joshua Pinadath. I mean,
isn't this
he's in Holland.
Ajax kid or whatever?
Yeah.
For somebody's young team.
Listen, I'd love to say great things about Josh Pinadath, but I don't really. There's a lot of people talking about this dog, but there ain't a lot of bark coming from that dog right now.
Man, he had it. I saw a video from him a couple years back. I don't know if Ajax did who is Joshua Pinadath or whatever.
Right.
And watched the video. I'm like, oh, there's going to be a lot of great things coming from this kid. And much like a lot of our youth, especially a lot of our youth that are over in Europe already, most don't pan out to anything besides like 2 division teams in random countries.
He's got to be like 19, 20 at this point, isn't
he? In that range, somewhere in that range, yeah.
And I think he's still stuck in the youth teams.
Their second team, yeah. Last I saw, at least. I don't know if it's still there.
If you are an amazing player, you ain't playing for the youth team still. All right? So I think he's 20. I believe he's 20 at this point. Maybe 19, but okay. Where the fuck was Pulisic? What was he doing at age 19? Playing for Dortmund. What was Reyna doing at 18, 17, 19? Playing for Dortmund. And, you know, I get it. Aze's a top-tier team in Holland. But fuck, if Mihailovic can get starts for Aze.
Yeah, like what, 27 though, so years of experience, but
he's not that good. But at 20, you're not a kid anymore. At 19, you're not a boy. If you have the skills, Aze's going to bring you up.
Yep.
The fact that he's wallowing in their whatever's 21s or whatever they are, that's not good. That's not good. Shotaro Odunze, hard to say.
I forgot which team is he within the EPL? Is it Fulham?
Fulham.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, he's playing for the youth squads. You see him in the lineup on occasion. I don't know how that's going to end. He's kind of a lanky kid. You think, okay, he's got really good physical attributes. How good is he with his feet? Is that going to hold him back? I don't know. It's too early to tell. But the fact that there's not a lot of talk, there's not a lot of, especially in the Fulham world in which I revolve, not a lot of people talking about him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know this player.
Is this the Orlando kid? Or Inter Miami kid?
Bet you must. Yeah, we've talked about him before. I'm trying to remember. I think
he's the Inter Miami kid that's killing it. He got called up to U.S. national team for a camp.
He's a dual nat, right?
Argentinian.
Yeah, too early to tell. That's too young for me. I can't.
He needs to see another season.
Yeah, I can't do like 16, 15. I don't know how old he is, but I think he's pretty fucking young. Max Dietz is the real deal. Max Dietz, I've watched numerous games this season with Julian Green and Max Dietz for Firth. Whenever those games come up for Firth.
You talked about how there's a lot of talk as far as him being brought up into a different team.
I've been covering Max Dietz for 3 years on this show. So if you've been watching the show for 2.5 years, 2 years, you know I bring up Max fucking Dietz, Maximilian Dietz. This is a big kid at his age already. Quite big, quite muscular, quite physical, good passer, good player. And the rumors are there are a ton of fucking Bundesliga teams salivating to get this kid.
Well,
they know.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. We talk about what league he's going to go to. It's clearly he's just going to go to the Bundesliga at this point.
He's going to go to a Bundesliga club, and he is hot property right now. And Greuther Fürth know it. And we watched him play for the youth team, U.S. men's youth team. And boy, was
recently,
yeah, he's fucking great. He was solid as a rock. Probably the best defender out there. Pinadath is playing for Aze's U21s. It is U21s. He turns 22 in February. He's doomed. He's not going to amount to anything. He might play for Volendam next season if he can beat out Zach Booth for a position. All I'm saying is if a guy's 21, 22, I thought I was giving him the benefit of doubt. I said he was 20. You're 22? You're still on the U21 team at Aze? You ain't going anywhere. It's done. Odunze is a Crown Legacy, FC, and MLS Next Pro. So he's no longer at Fulham. I didn't think I had seen his name listed for a while. So I had stopped. But don't they still have they have a keeper there.
Here we go. I was mixing up players. So this is Gramashi's the kid I was thinking from Inter Miami.
Yeah, Birchmas is really young.
Yeah. That's all I know. He's at the U17. That's right. Okay, I'm mixing up players.
Yeah, yes. I don't do 15s. I don't even bother to
reword, Derek. Reword, please.
No, I said I don't do them. Even if you got it the wrong way, I got it right. I'm just saying I don't go that young because judging players at that age is way too early. Like 15, it's just listen, the reason I say that is in the last 30 years I've covered this sport, there have been way too many 15, 14, 16-year-olds that everybody's fucking talking about. And they are shite. They end up doing nothing. They end up playing in USL. They end up like Freddie Adu. They end up not being as good as we thought. So I don't even bother with that kind of. I'll talk about some guys playing in two teams or U23 or U21 teams in Europe somewhere in the Bundesliga. I can give you that. That's why I've been covering Max Dietz, because I've been covering since he was in the youth teams, and he's always up, to the next level. Always one step ahead of his age. Always. So you knew that was working out. Borto, thank you.
Yeah,
God,
is at Fulham, and Adunze was at Leicester. I mean, being
that's right.
We were mixing
sorry.
up.
Yep.
Hey guys, when you cover this many players,
yes,
you kind of
start mixing them together. Yeah.
Was this guy there? Was this guy there? What is he doing?
But no, Dunze was at Leicester. That's correct. So, but yeah, Borto is actually playing on the regular for the youth team at Fulham, and there's like the international interleague championships, and he played a few weeks ago for Fulham. It was a couple weeks ago. He started for the U21s, I believe it was, in that international championship. I think they call it like the youth Champions League, maybe. And yeah, he is playing, but we'll see what happens. He's still young. I mean, 20 years old is really young for a keeper. Don't tell that to Slonina, but it's very young.
Yeah.
Charles Rankin.
Yeah. Oh, that hurts.
That does hurt, man.
That
That's a really sad ending to what could have been a very promising.
That was during the what am I spacing? Tax #1 fan. What Breck Shea? That's during the Breck Shea era. There were a number of players that were going to come up through that were like, oh, whoa. And then all of a sudden you have two left knees and they both got injured and you're like, that sucks.
Yeah, I never blame kids who fail because of injury. Never blaming it on them personally. It just happens. Sometimes you got spaghettis for ligaments.
Ledesma was another one. A lot of promise going up and just,
Yeah.
You started thinking he was going to take off at PSV. You got a couple of starts and then all of a sudden it's just like year-long injury. You coming back, get a couple minutes, year-long injury.
Yeah. By the way, I saw Tanton 80% going to Columbia. Absolutely true. I think it's higher than that. I think it's 95%. I think you can lock him into Columbia. And it's not a giant loss, trust me. Ledesma, as you just mentioned, injury-plagued, will never be the same player again. He got hampered in the same way by injuries that Paxton Pomykal did. Paxton Pomykal will never be any better of a player than he was a year ago. Yeah, he's done. He's
never a MLS player, I'm sure, but
can't make the cuts anymore, not quick anymore, not fast anymore. And by the way, there's a difference between being fast and quick. Quick is how much you can move in short spaces, make quick moves. Like
Cal is fast.
Right. Cal is fast in a straight line. But being quick is actually almost more important sometimes in soccer. It allows you to make quick moves, quick changes of direction, and that allows you to fake fuckers out. Like Messi's not fast in a straight line, but he's quick as fuck. He's quick as fuck. Ledesma is the Stu Holden of our generation. It's not quite that bad. Well, I mean, he'll be able to play. Ledesma will play in USL. He'll have a career. He's just not going to be the guy anybody thought he was going to be.
And that's just stemming from all the injuries he had. The shame here is that Ledesma's are, and I'm going to use self-inflicted as a word here, but they're injuries that happen to him by making a certain cut, whatever. Stu's injuries, what ultimately kicked him out at the age of something like 26 or whatever it was, 28, was due to people karate chopping his knee with cleats on.
Right. No, I mean, those brutal.
So,
I do not advise anybody to go watch the tackles, the two tackles in particular that ended Stu's career. They're brutal. They're absolutely brutal. And as much as I make fun of Stu on this show, I was a huge fan of him as a player.
Yep.
He was amazing at Bolton.
Anybody we miss on your list, Derek?
Well, somebody said, do you have to be fast in soccer? Is that Fumar? Yeah. No, you don't have to be fast in soccer. In fact, the fastest man in the world tried to become a professional soccer player, and he wasn't good enough to do it, even though he had some basic skills. Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt.
How fast is Messi? He's quick.
He's not fast in a straight
line.
How
fast is he? And he talks about how if he can imbue any of his knowledge onto the next generation is, hey, you don't always have to run. Sometimes just walking around the field will open up the spaces.
He's fast enough, but what really makes Messi who Messi is his high soccer IQ, his understanding of space, his ability to make quick decisions. Like, he's masterful at that. He's just the master of it. He's the best player that ever could do those things. And that's saying somebody who grew up with Franz Beckenbauer and Pele, and Messi he's the best that ever was.
The thing is, we're also talking about a generational, talent here. Doesn't always come to it. So yes, being fast is going to open up. Being fast, being quick, being smart, all that stuff will open up more doors. But you don't have to be fast.
No, you don't.
You can pick up certain other aspects of the game, but being fast will certainly open up the doors.
I mean, if
whether or not you have the talent to go with it is a big question.
Right. If you're a winger, it certainly helps to be fast. I mean, but you got to have some skills too. You can't just be some fucking, 50-yard dash, master. There's got to be more going on there than that. Benedict Arnold, as in Noel Buck. I wouldn't worry too much about Noel Buck playing for the English national team at all. Rogelio, that's not happening.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
I honestly don't even feel bad that he's playing with their youth teams right now. And then the question is later on, if he's not going to play for England, then he still has opportunities to play for the U.S. if he's good enough. And if he does play for the U.S., I don't have a problem with it because, quite frankly, nobody at the U.S. is calling him up. So you take your chances when they come for the countries that you're qualified for at that point.
Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about it. It's like when you wake up in the morning after a long night of sex with your partner, and you go to the bathroom, you look down, you're like, oh God, there are red marks on there. And then you're like, oh wait, that's just because we were at it a long time. It's nothing to be concerned about. It's not herpes. It's not anything serious. It's just you had a lot of sex and you probably should have used more lubricant. So it's not something anybody should be concerned about. If he's good enough to play for the U.S. national team, he will play for us. He ain't playing for England. Fuck. We couldn't get Musa can't play for England. Fucking, we got guys on our team that apparently aren't good enough for England. Jedi is on our team. He's not good enough for, Flo Balogun. So I wouldn't worry about all of a sudden Noel Buck becoming a stud for the English national team. He's going to play for us if he's going to play for anybody.
And that's the big question, right? Will he even get to play for us? He's got the talent.
Well, hold on now. Hold. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying he's got the talent. He just may need another season in MLS, and then at that point, since he's got his English passport, my guess is he'll probably end up somewhere in the championship.
Maybe. We'll see. By the way, BMR saying, if you're Derek, it's a short night. BMR, one thing I can say about myself is I got stamina. And you know what? It ain't so much stamina because, I'm a stud. It's just that I drank a lot during my young days playing music. And so when you do that, usually it takes a while. And sometimes if you drink too much, it makes you flaccid. So
I was going to bring up, whiskey, and I'm going to say stick here because I can't say certain words. Because
whiskey dick? You can't say whiskey dick?
I don't want to say that. I've got impressionable ears around me.
Oh, my bad. No wonder you've been so clean for the last half an hour.
Maybe that's how we can get monetized. I just got to have my kids sit around me while we're doing the show.
Whiskey stick. All right. By the way, whiskey dick only happened to me like a couple times. And, that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's like small percentage of the total times. When you're a musician, you get around. But it's not always a good thing that you get around, by the way. Sometimes you wake up and go, wow, what the fuck did I just do? So, it's not all violets and flowers and all that. It's not
more
great.
Dangerous now when you have all these tutorials on how to do contouring and stuff like that. So you can take some of the most type of people, and all of a sudden they look like supermodels until they, go through a sprinkler or go for a swim. Oh,
yeah. Actually, the bigger worry sometimes is waking up and go, is my dick going to fall off next week? Because of what I just did this week. I barely know that person. I know nothing about them. So that was always a real concern. In fact, Like I had a phobia about like that. And I'm an idiot because I kept doing it. Yet then I would walk around for weeks in like a state of like panic. Like, oh God, you know, when is this thing going to show up on my, and it never did. So I just got lucky, but I was a moron. Let's be really honest. I was a stupid moron, and I'm lucky to have gotten away with no damage. Let's put it that way. All right.
Anybody else missed?
I mean, we talked about everybody, you know, Kate Cal, McGlynn, Token, Vasquez, Ferreira. I mean, did we talk about Ferreira? Ferreira ain't going anywhere. Anybody thinks that Ferreira...
We talked about Ferreira early on in the show. That's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's going to do it for tonight, guys. And it's been 2 hours and 45 fucking minutes. So that was way too fucking long.
Well, I thought we were going to get done with this early because we started this actual topic like an hour and 20 minutes into it.
I know. But make sure you like and subscribe, okay? Share it with your grandma. But do hit the like button. You got to do that. Got to help us out here. The algorithms are kind of fucking everybody over right now. I know it's also slow time, right? So there's not a lot happening in U.S. soccer. I know it. You would think there would be with us talking for 2 fucking hours and 45 minutes, but there really isn't a whole lot going on. We've got Camp Cupcake coming on, or Camp Twinkie, or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, there's still news, right? We got to talk about it, especially with transfer season coming up. That should be exciting. We'll see what happens. We'll cover it. We'll continue to cover it. And just to be sure, as we progress, that both you and your stepsister are always welcome to watch this show and to comment. And we would, in fact, enjoy if your stepsister started commenting more, because we need more of the females in the chat section. All right. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, we will see you Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. All right. We love you.
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel. Turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line. Or a phone call with or without wine.
That hurt.
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...
Fucking deal with it. What are we really doing?
Yeah, I can agree with that. The zebra in between its